Yes, funny. Yes, funny. Yes, funny. Yes, funny. Funny.
Yes, still a bit of feedback from your end.
Yeah, Pauline will be joining soon. So let's give just only a minute, then we start.
Okay, perfect.
Tony?
Yes.
Who is that calling you? Would you know where their location is?
No, I wouldn't know where the location is.
So who's that calling, Tony? Who is just spoken now?
I think that should be Sam.
Okay. We need to go to this place. Control that. This one? Oh, this one is fine. There. The name is this one? Okay. The name? Asia.
Hi, Phony. You get me?
I think that's John, right? There's there's an echo on your end. So I can hear you, but then there's quite a huge echo from your side. So maybe you might need to mute one of the devices.
Thank you. That's what we want to rectify, because we have echo. That's what we are trying to test. Thank you. Yes. Hello. Are you getting us well?
A bit better, just some slight echo. A slight echo, but I can hear you.
You can hear us, huh?
But on the background, there's a bit of echo as well.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll begin shortly, but as we wait for others to join us, I encourage you, if you're joining online or in person, we're really happy to have you here. For everyone else, you can use the chat to just briefly introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're joining us from. Thanks.
He speaks through this, it's okay. But
not that okay.
You hear that?
Hello. Morning.
Thank you. I see people are busy in the chat introducing themselves. We have Zahara, who is UNHCR branch office. We have Angelina, who is the refugee athlete with Tegla Lorupe Foundation. We have Simon Rutarondwa, based in Nairobi, Kenya, Community Support Initiative for Refugees representative. Thank you. As we are going on with the conversation, I encourage everyone else to also introduce themselves in the chat if you're able to.
Hello, Colin. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning. This is Petronella Mudhui from DRS Dadaab.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Petronella. We will not be unmuting ourselves to introduce ourselves because we are so many and everyone would want to speak. So I'm highly encouraging all of us to utilize the chat space, and I'll be reading out the different individuals who've introduced themselves in the chat. Other than that, I welcome you all. We should be able to begin shortly. But as we wait for the others, I still encourage you to introduce yourself, and I will briefly introduce myself as well, so that you know who you're speaking with. I see we also have Karaoke Abby, from Nairobi, Kenya, working with the Community Support Initiative for Refugee. Good morning and welcome, Abby.
Hello. Sorry, Fonny, just checking if Petronilla from DRS has joined. I heard you say Petronilla. Is she from DRS?
Yes, Petronilla from DRS Dadaab.
Yes, Petronilla is also here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to our session today. I'm a refugee from South Sudan, but currently living in Nairobi. I've lived in Nairobi for quite a while, but it's really a pleasure to be here with you all to celebrate, to really mark the World Refugee Day and really interact with. Sorry, is someone calling me? I would kindly ask, if you're not if you've not been called upon, kindly throughout the session, please make sure you mute yourself so that we can all hear each other, and we can know who's speaking and where they're coming from. Other than that, I'll just go back to my brief introduction. And as I was mentioning, my name is Foni Joyce Buni, a South Sudanese refugee based in Nairobi. I want to check with the tech team. Are we good to begin?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session today. My name is Foni Joyce Buni, a South Sudanese refugee living in Nairobi. I've lived here for quite a while, and it's really a pleasure to be here today morning, looking at the screen and seeing the many amazing young people we have on board today, as well as the different stakeholders who have come together to really mark Refugee Day by looking at the youth aspect. As I mentioned, I've lived in Nairobi, worked on young people for a long time, about years, and I have the pleasure of just being here today and interacting with you all. For today's conference, one of the things that we have seen is that with COVID-19, young people across the world faced many challenges, while young people, even in Kenya, particularly refugee youth, faced quite a lot of challenges. And there are very many concerns that young people faced, starting from access to livelihood, and also access to learning opportunities. We had many young people who have been very resilient, trying to work through these particular challenges that they have encountered. But at the same time, with COVID-19 and the reality being very oblique, it made it very hard for some of the young people to have positive coping mechanisms, or if they had positive coping mechanism, it was still a big challenge. At the same time, with lack of clear livelihood opportunities, as well as access to learning opportunities, this has meant that many of the young people within Kenya, this is in Nairobi, this is in Dadaab, this is in Kakuma, have had quite a hard time when it comes to how do they transition to being independent. Because I think one of the things that is very important for all of us, why we do what we do, is that at the end of it, we definitely want to become independent. We want to become self-reliant. We want to be able to have that dignity of waking up in the morning and providing for your families, or even providing for yourself. The World Refugee Day this year is focusing and looking at the right to seek safety. So every person on the theme basically says that every person on this planet has a right to seek safety, whoever they are, whenever they come from, and whenever they are forced to flee. And I think that's a really important thing. Everyone matters, everyone is important. And with this youth conference that we've organized, what we're aiming to look at, or what we want to do, is really to hear from the voices of young refugees who will share on their experiences, who will talk about the importance of rebuilding their lives with dignity, as well as how peace is key in actually achieving this. The conference that we're all attending today is really to empower youth to be agents of change as key actors, because that's a really important aspect. We all have a big role to play, and as well as much as we're key actors in doing all these great things, at the same time, we also want to ensure that there's peaceful coexistence, and we're building a community with the other young people we're interacting with. So during this session today, we will see a couple of things, and I'll just name them. The first one, we will spend some time showcasing the different success stories from the young people from the different locations, because I think it's good come together and to hear what the other young people are doing, and also see from that. It's very important that we network aspect, whereby we get to hear from young people who are based in Nairobi, young people who are based in Kakuma, and young people who are based in Dadaab. I think that's an important aspect where when we share the different experiences and best practices, then we network, and we're also really able to learn about the different realities of the young people from these 3 different locations, even if they're in the same countries. The third thing, I think it's really important as well to share our stories, to share how we're working through things, to share the lessons learned as well. So it's also an opportunity, even for the audience who are in the same room, to share their different experiences, to share stories on what has been affecting them, to share on opportunities that have been available, but more importantly, to also really share about the different concerns from these locations and what is the role of the young people. Because I think we always say that young people are the leaders of today. So this means that we also have solutions to some get to learn all these different aspects. We will get to hear from a couple of people. These are youth representatives who are joining us from the 3 locations. We will get to hear from the Department of Refugee Services, where they will also respond to a couple of questions. We have different organizations that have also joined us. These organizations who are implementing youth programs. We have UNHCR staff who are in charge of youth programs in Kakuma, in Dadaab and Nairobi. We also have youth UNHCR staff who are in charge of livelihood programs from Nairobi. So I think it's a really, really good opportunity for us to really interact, for us to really learn from each other, for us to ask questions, but for us to really look at how do we rebuild better even as we're in displacement. So for that, I really welcome you to this session. Just before we start, some key things I would ask us to remember. If you're not speaking, kindly make sure that you mute yourself. We want to spend as much as possible time listening to each other and making sure we take in all the information that is being shared with us. Secondly, if you take the floor, either as a speaker or even during the question and answer, I will ask you to make sure that you stick to time because we have so many things that we would want to discuss, but we also want to make sure we give the time for each and every one of us. And then lastly, as the discussion is ongoing, if you're joining online, I'd also ask you to, if you have questions as the presentation is going on, kindly make sure that you also include this in the chat. And we will come back to that. And with that, I take this opportunity to officially welcome you to the Youth Conference 2022, marking the World Refugee Day. And I am going to turn over to the Department of Refugee Services, who will be making the first opening remarks. I think Petronila, you're the one who will make the remarks. I'd like to welcome you. Just a correction.
Sorry, Tony, there's a lot of background noise. If you could kindly announce just for people to mute.
Yeah, please, just going back again, if you're not speaking or if I've not called upon you, kindly mute yourself because it's causing a lot of distraction. And with that, I would like to turn over to Jason Award, who is the Deputy Commissioner of DRS, to make the opening. Mr. Award, over to you, but I think you have unmuted, but we can't hear you speaking.
I'm being told here that the host has muted me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this youth conference. marking the World Refugee Day, which is coming up on 20th June, which will be on Monday next week. This is an annual event which we have been commemorating every year. And this year, the theme is the right to seek safety. And as has already been said in many forums, the youth are the most vulnerable when it comes to issues of security, education, health, and even employment. It is true the refugee youth is facing a lot of challenges and difficulties, ranging from security, of course, which is most prominent. And from my angle, I would look at the to mean security, but also in terms of education, health, and employment. These are the leaders of the future, so to speak, and they must be given the best opportunities so that they can advance their talents in an open field, so that they can compete favorably with others, so that they make their lives better for the future. The government on its side is cognizant of this, and as you might all be aware, the government has given refugee youth and students, pupils, the young refugees in this country, equal opportunities in terms of, let me say, first education. You go to our public schools, both in urban and in the camps, and you will find that refugee students are given, are in those government schools and getting all the services the Kenyan pupils and students are enjoying. But I'm not going to say that is enough. There is still a lot that needs to be done. In most cases, in the post-secondary school period, we still find that refugee youths are still facing a lot of challenges. Some of them miss opportunities when they really qualify to advance their education. And that is something that should be looked into keenly and critically with the help of our supporters, UNHCR and other agencies that are helping us to deal with refugee matters in the country, so that when opportunity comes for a refugee youth or a student for that matter, then that opportunity should not be missed. So as we commemorate World Refugee Day this year, it is true that each and every person, and more so the youth, has the right to seek safety. And this safety, to me, includes safety in education, safety in health, and safety even in employment. Otherwise, let me stop there. We are still together in this, and if there will be any issues to be clarified, I'll be ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. War, for really re-emphasizing the commitment of the government towards making sure that young people also have safety, and also for really highlighting that this safety includes education, health, and employment. So thank you very much for that. Before I introduce the next speaker, I would want to kindly remind all of us, just to make this a very easy, seamless process, we're doing a hybrid version of this celebration. So I'll ask us to kindly make sure we mute ourselves so that we can hear what our panelists have in preparation for us. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Jeffrey Savage, who's the Assistant Representative Protection, who's an Assistant Representative Protection with UNHCR, to also make the opening remarks from UNHCR. Mr. Jeffrey, welcome.
Great, thanks, Fonny, and thank you, Mr. Awar, for those very important remarks you've just made. Good morning, everyone, and on behalf of UNHCR, I would like to welcome all of you to today's youth conference to celebrate World Refugee Day 2022. As you may know, UNHCR is mandated to safeguard the rights and well-being of people who have been forced to flee their homes because of violence or persecution, including refugees, asylum seekers, returnees who have previously been refugees and have returned home, internally displaced persons within their own country of origin, and as well as those who are stateless and have no country that has recognized them as a national. Each person of concern to UNHCR has differing capacities and priorities and faces different protection risks, both at home and in the countries in which they have sought asylum. UNHCR engages persons of concern through an age, gender, and diversity approach that aims to consistently and systematically reach out to groups that are marginalized or less visible within the community. One group that is of particular concern to UNHCR is, of course, youth, and we are working together with our partners in the governments the governments of countries in which refugees are living, to ensure that they can enjoy their rights on an equal footing and that they are able to participate meaningfully in the decisions that affect their lives, their families, and their communities as well. Refugee youth make up roughly 30% of the persons under UNHCR's mandate in Kenya, with more than 178,000 youth between the ages of 18 and 35 currently registered as refugees or asylum seekers and living in the camps and in urban areas across Kenya. UNHCR is very happy to say, and to confirm the support of the government in providing government of Kenya in providing assistance to these individuals and to granting them access to asylum in this country. Refugee youth represent a distinct group whose concerns, needs, and energies are sometimes overlooked. And after reaching the age of 18, many refugee youth lose access to many of the services provided for children that, Sorry, there was a message pop up. As I was saying, after reaching the age of 18, many youth lose access to the services that are provided for children in the camps and in urban areas. And the transition to becoming an independent adult is often challenging in such an environment in which accessing services can be difficult and livelihoods opportunities are increasingly limited. Nonetheless, refugee youth are a vital and positive force within their communities, and young people are agents of change and have wide-ranging capacities and skills, but they also have very unique needs that need to be addressed. Refugee youth have successfully developed positive ways of coping with their situation and contributing to their communities, and many have set in motion career paths that will lead to self-reliance despite the difficult environment in which they live. It is important to single out youth and to focus on supporting them to build self-esteem and leadership skills that will enable them to be more self-reliant and resilient, especially as they start families of their own. The key message of this year's World Refugee Day focuses on the right to seek safety. Every person on this planet has a right to seek safety, whoever they are, wherever they come from, and wherever they are forced to flee. Today's youth conference is being organized to hear the voices of refugee youth and to provide them with an opportunity to share their experiences. While the right to seek safety is fundamental and must be ensured, rebuilding their lives with dignity and in peace is crucial for refugee youth in Kenya, especially considering the challenges they face in their day-to-day lives. Today's youth conference will therefore also focus on the opportunities for youth to develop their capacities and skills and to work and earn a living in Kenya. Today's youth conference provides a forum through which refugees and refugee youth can better understand the different opportunities and career pathways available to them, and to discuss both positive and negative experiences they have had to enable a clearer picture of their options and how to improve their capacities for the future. In closing, I would like to express UNHCR's appreciation to the Department of Refugee Services, and in particular, Mr. Awar, for being here today, as well as partner organizations, youth moderators, and presenters, and all of you who have taken the time to participate in today's event to mark World Refugee Day in Kenya. Thank you very much, and all the best. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff, for the great overview of young people in Kenya. I think just to mention what you've mentioned, what you've highlighted is that out of the 550,000 displaced persons in Kenya, we have 30% of them who are young people between 18 to 35 years. That's a huge, huge, huge number. At the same time, I think you've also raised the different concerns young people have, but then at the same time highlighted the agency that young people have, that they do have unique needs, and also that they have come up with really positive ways to deal with the different challenges. And one of the things that you've also encouraged is with this celebration today is looking at the different pathways for the young people to explore the different pathways that is available for them to really improve their capacities. But once again, thank you for those great recommendations as well as intervention in terms of the needs of young people and what UNHCR is doing in relation with the different partners to ensure young people are able to really work around this. And with this, I'm going to turn to the next speaker. But before the next speaker speaks, we will have a video on digital initiative program, which is in Dadaab. The video will play, and then after that, we will have Eli Hamuli, who is a refugee and a freelancer, who will then come in and with NRC, will then come in and make their presentation. So I'm going to turn to the technical team to play the video for us. And as the session is ongoing, I remind you all, please input your questions in the chat. I kindly remind you all again to please mute yourselves so that we're able to interact over to the digital, I'm going to turn it over to the technical team. I'd like to turn to the technical team. The audio is not being heard from this end.
I'm Robert, the core area manager for NRC in Dadaab. I'm glad to speak to you briefly about NRC's programs in Dadaab. Since I'm new to the various debate and resource skills, we do track how our youth are performing out in the field there. At least for the last 1.5 years, we have tracked up to $70,000 in hand by the youth with the Dadaab collective. But there are also those who perform individually in the programs. I would like to thank some of our teams that have been supporting the program. For example, the Kingdom of Netherlands, the Dutch, the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the EU Trust Fund, CEDA, UNICEF, WFP, UNHCR, among the donors who support that. We also grateful to some of the partners who work together with, like the ITC, DRC, and also the county government of Garissa.
My name is Kelvin Irongo. I work for International Trade Center. I'm a professional life skills trainer. Freelancers need life skills for effective communication, coping with stress, problem solving, and even to better manage the relationships that they have with their clients. Freelancers need to be better prepared for the world of work.
I'm Hassan Aden Isaac, a young Somali refugee in a professional who is inspired in the digital online freelancing. I was successfully and professionally trained by NRC, ITC, under the RESI project. I was professionally trained in the following skills: graphics design, web design, and web development. Also in data entry, web research, and in the translations. I am currently working on Amazon Mechanical Impact project under the Data Collective Freelancing Agency, where we help startup companies all over the world to identify them as legitimate startups or whether they are legitimate or not. I'm also working another project, which is now web design project under the Data Collective Freelancing Agency, where now I'm working on their website. My career aspiration in the digital freelancing is to learn and grow, also help my fellow refugees in the digital workspace. My aspiration or what to my fellow refugees is to look for skills, because skills open for you golden opportunities, and these most skills are available at NRC centers, which are offered by NRC ITC, and it would be a good opportunity to absorb. You can contact me through the Data Collective Freelancing Agency. I look forward to connecting with more opportunities.
My name is Nima Ibrahim Hassan, one of the young ladies in Ifo refugee camp. I have planned under NRC Computer Secretarial, and I am now one of the ICT trainer in Ifo Youth Center. I have progressed my learning to digital freelancing. I have learned video editing, photo editing, and web design, as well as transcription. I am now one of the online freelancers in the Data Collective Agency, so I could have inspired my sisters and brothers who are outside to take this opportunity and learn these skills. Also, my inspiration is to mentor my sisters who are outside there.
Hi everyone, my name is Abdullah Mohammed. I talk with freelancer on Upwork. Mostly I do translations on Upwork, but I'm also a digital marketer and a web developer. I run my own e-commerce platform at the moment, which is kind of operational. I never thought I could work online, despite the fact that I was even in the doubt. And without the help of NRC, ITC, and UNHCR, thanks to you guys, you have me aspire to become to lead one of the most innovative and creative companies in the future in Eastern Africa. Thank you.
I'm Khalifa Muhammad Hanshi. I live in Hayadera, Block L5. I'm one of the freelancers who got the opportunity to go to learn digital marketing and web development. In freelancing, we face new challenges like shortage of electricity and inconsistency of network. Though we have co-working spaces in YEP centers, those co-working spaces are only open during the day. But for me, I tried my best to come up a solar panel, 3 battery, Wi-Fi router, and inverter, so that I can work during the night while the YEP centers are closed.
My name is Abisar Jama Shire. I live in the Ghana refugee camp. I am currently working at the Data co-working space. I joined NRC in the year 2019 and gained skills like translation, transcription, data entry, and social media. I was able to work on the skills that I learned on platforms like Upwork. I'm now encouraging the youth at the Data refugee camp to join NRC centers and learn the skill. Thank you, NRC, ITC, for supporting the youth to become self-reliant.
We encourage youth to pursue digital skills training and opportunities in digital initiatives.
Thank you very much for this great video that highlights and really showcases the different pathways young people can interact, as well as I think things that we've picked from this video is that all young people want other young people as well to learn these skills because it opens opportunities. We've heard that women are also encouraged to participate in taking these skills and the different self-reliance opportunities that comes with it. I'm going now to turn to Ellie. Ellie Hamuli, who has a presentation in relation to the video. Ellie, if you're online, the space is yours to make your intervention before we move on to the next section of reflections.
Hi everyone, my name is Eli Aragon, a refugee from Congo, born and raised. And I did my primary and secondary education back then, and life was smooth. All of a sudden one day war began, and after a while I found myself in Kenya. In the year 2014, I came to Dadaab in Dagahale, where life became very complicated for me. And as everyone goes somewhere at the first time, and life become really complicated. So finding job and sustaining myself livelihood, I could not really, and I had to go through English program language for me to adapt Kenya environment. And after that, I moved to Ifo, another refugee camp in Dadaab. And one day I met one of my inspiration, who is now the CEO of the Dadaab Collective Agency, and he told me about digital skills at NRC Center. I was very much interested because I thought of how I could change my life and of course, changing the world. And luckily, I had a dream of projecting and changing hope of many through visual. And luckily, I found that the course which was ongoing was video editing and video production. And I went through the course, I finished and I graduated. And after that, we went through mentorship support by the ITC team. And after that, we were trained on how to find jobs and work online. And so currently I'm a freelancer and I'm working online and getting income. So NRC and its partners have been really supporting youth in Dadaab and are creating job opportunities, which means have some impacts which I've achieved, getting to know how to make the internet very useful and counter income. But also in coming, I came also to achieve my dream of changing the dream that I had, changing many lives and projecting their life through visuals. I'm also able to solve one's problem through a very long distance, and also creating and expanding networking, but also getting not to depend on the government, on the NGOs, but getting to depend on myself by looking for jobs and counter income. I've been also earning a lot of money, including the video just was previewed, which I made money through making that video. But also in freelancing, we have different challenges. We have many challenges, actually. For example, you are working with a client from another different continent, let's say America, and here it's daytime and theirs is nighttime. So that zone time really brings a very big complication, challenge, because you need to wait until they wake up, because they can't wait until you wake up, but you need to wait until they wake up so you can work with them. And if you continue sleeping, that means you'll not get the job. But also we have challenges of electricity and internet still at the nighttime, because here in Dadaab, we have access to NRC YEP centers where we can work from the daytime. But during the nighttime, it's very complicated for us to access the centers. And now we counter the challenge of gadgets, computers, and internet. And those are really big challenges for us. But also access to equipment like cameras and other equipments, many equipments that we need to access to. But also softwares. A lot of softwares are payable, which means we cannot pay for them as startup freelancers in the market. We have to work for some days to get money and pay for some softwares. But also we have problem of identity documents. Alien card, proof sheet. You may find yourself, you did the training and you finish, you Now it's come to registering yourself to Upwork and other websites, whereby they will not approve your registration because you need a document. For example, some of us are new arrivals in the camp and we don't have alien card, we don't have proof sheets, we have tokens, which mean Upwork will not register me with a token. They need a document from the government, which is a very big challenge for startup freelancers, which the government of Kenya, DRS should look into it, and the UNHCR. But we also have challenges for the startup freelancers after graduation and being introduced in the online market, whereby NRC has been giving grants to other people, locals and refugees in the camp. But to freelancers, before they used to get computers, but nowadays we are being only introduced to the market and we are left like that. So we would please with NRC and its partners and the supporters to please support the freelancers at the first time when they are being introduced in the market, because we need computers, we need gadgets to work with. And therefore, if we get those, we are going to work online and get income, which means we are not going to depend on the NGOs, we are not going to depend on the government of Kenya or any other thing, but we are going to be self-reliant, and which is why we are here. And also the other thing is about lack of opportunities from the NGOs, the local NGOs in Dadaab and Kenya. There are so many opportunities that youth as freelancers we need to get from the NGOs. You find there is a banner that UNHCR or any other NGO need to design, and we have graphic designers in Dadaab, which means if they collaborate with the freelancers in Dadaab, we can design them and then we send them and they send somewhere else where there is printers and they print and the banners come. But we are not given those opportunities. Like, let me take this example, the video that was just previewed here. I edited it, I shot it. You can't believe that it's someone from Dadaab, but other NGOs are taking expertise from Nairobi, come to Dadaab and take things like that, while there are refugees here who can do those. So we will also please plead with the office to give us a look, to give us those opportunities as youth in Dadaab refugee camp. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ellie, for the great presentation and for really reflecting at a practical level on the video and what freelancing means. Just to recap some of the things you've said, I think very resilient that you were in a new place, you had to learn English language to become, to be able to improve on your digital skills. I think one of the things that you've also said that you were eager to change yourself and change the world. I think that's a very strong commitment or sort of like resilience that the young refugees also have. I think the other thing that you've also said that it really resonates is that you're solving one problem regardless of the distance. And I think that's what the digital space has done, that you're solving your personal challenges as well as other challenges in the community. And you've highlighted quite a lot of challenges in terms of the time zone differences, electricity and internet, access to equipment, software, documents, but also made quite two strong recommendations. The first one being to all the supporters or the partners on the call that you need to support freelancers with computers and gadgets, but also really recognize the expertise that they have within the community to also do some of this work. So thank you so much for doing that. Right now we're going, you left us with the question of lack of opportunities. And now I'd like to turn to Siad Aden, who will be reflecting regarding opportunities. What opportunities are there for freelancers? So Siad, I welcome you to reflect on this this question regarding opportunities. What opportunities are available based on your experiences? And I'd ask you to also make sure that you stick within the time. And as we're going on with the discussion, I encourage all the different participants to share their questions or comments as well in the chat. So Siad Aden, welcome.
Thank you. Hi everyone, and a happy World Refugee Day 2022. Hope you're all here in this wide and clear.
Yes, we can hear you quite clearly.
Thank you. All right.
Siad, if you're speaking, you're on mute. We're not able to hear you. Is the technical team able to support Siad? Because we can't hear him from our end if he is speaking. Alternatively, we can come back to you, Siad, as you're sorting out the technical glitch on your end. So we will come back to you shortly, Siad, as you sort out the connection challenge on your end. We're going now to just take a trip to the sports world. And we really want to also hear from a young lady called Angelina. We have Angelina is a youth athlete who is being supported through the Tegla Lorupe Foundation Refugee Project. So Angelina, I'd be keen to also hear from your perspective and hear you on your story and what you've been able to do. And after that, we will, as Siad is sorting his the connectivity issues, then we will come back to Siad. Angelina, over to you. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Foni. Hi, everyone. My name is Angelina Nadai Lawale. I am a track athlete. I'm a track athlete and IOC refugee scholarship holder and a refugee Olympic team member. The journey of my achievement started in 2015 when I was selected to join the Tekla Lorupe training camp for refugees. In 2016, I had a privilege to be the member of the first ever refugee team to compete in Olympic Rio, Brazil. In 2017, I traveled to London, UK to compete for World Championship. In 2017, I traveled to Uganda for a youth meeting. And then again, I attended a Young World Summit conference, which was in Canada. I joined Kenya Institute of Development Study College for Community Development and Social Work. That was in 2017. Again, in 2018, I became a mother of a baby boy while I was still in school, which was almost knocking me down. You know, sometimes it is challenging for a lady to train and maybe going to school at the same time. In 2018, I got a chance to travel to Argentina. That was the time that refugee Olympic team, 10 of us, we were requested to come together and meet each other for the first time since 2016. So we were to meet again in 2018. And I got an opportunity to join a leader monitoring a mentoring program in support of services of humanity organization. In 2019, I was preparing for Olympic.
Angelina, I think you are frozen. If you can hear us, maybe do you want to, if your connection is not strong, maybe turn off your video and you can just use your audio. No worries. Angelina seems to have dropped off, but I think we all understand that we're working in a digital space. Connectivity sometimes is a challenge, but that doesn't mean we stop with we stop with what we're doing. But I think Angelina will join us shortly, and she'll be able to continue with her presentation. But other than that, I think it's really been great to just hear some of the reflections that she shared in terms of the multiple things that she's been able to do through sports, as well as one of the challenges that she's mentioned, which is as a young woman who is in sports and with also a young family, makes it complicated. I think, Angelina, have you joined us?
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No worries,
Yeah,
that's
let
fine.
me pick from where I was. And I was.
No worries, please
Okay.
proceed. Thank you.
So in recording in progress. Okay, I was in 2019. I was saying I was preparing for. I was preparing for.
Thank you. No worries about that. Connectivity issues happens, but take a deep breath and then let's continue. I think we're quite keen to hear from your presentation and your experience. Please go ahead.
Okay, in 2019, I was preparing for Olympic Japan, which was interfered by COVID-19. And we were to travel back to Kakuma, which was, we were locked from there from 2019 to 2020. And from that time, we could not manage to travel for the games. And even training, it was a big problem for us. But then in 2021, at least the Olympic was taking place, and I was still managed to get a privilege to competing for the second time in Olympic. And okay, that was my second time to travel for to compete in Olympic. And again, I got an opportunity to travel to Canada. That was it. I was supposed to travel to Canada for a scholarship after last year, whereby I got the opportunity to travel to Canada for a scholarship, though 3 of my colleagues, they are already there. In 2022, I competed in World Indoor Championship, which was in Serbia in March 8. And again, I graduate at Kenya Institute of Development Studies in Community Development and Social Work. That was in April this year. Recently, I traveled to Mauritius for African Game Championship. It will be good to state in my experience, the athlete has impact. In my experience, the athlete has impact. It has other impact youth in a positive way. They are also looking toward to travel the world where the athlete is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angelina. I think some things that you've mentioned which are really important is that it's for young people, opportunities that really places them at a very good place to really develop their skill is really important. From the description and experiences that you've shared how sports and access to these opportunities has really helped in really building your skills. And then it's also helped you to really look at what is out there as an athlete and really had positive impact in your life. And I think the other thing that you've also mentioned is on scholarships. I think that's also a really important aspect where scholarships play a big role with the different opportunities, because once you have this, you're able to really further develop your skills. And mentoring as well. I think that's an important aspect, an opportunity that is available, that as much as we're all diverse, we're all unique, we're all focusing on different aspects, access to mentorship to better develop our skill is quite important as well. So thank you for really reflecting and sharing your journey and what you've been able to do and how this has really been positive for you and how this is really important for other athletes as well. And with that, I would like now to take it back to Ziad from Dadaab, who, if you're able to really make your intervention, we're also quite keen to hear from you regarding opportunities for freelancing. If your connection is now stable and you're able to speak, I welcome you to make your intervention. Over to you, Ziad.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope you're hearing me now.
Yes, we can actually hear you now. Please go ahead and proceed.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you here today in this visual conference. I'm Ziad Adan from the Dadaab Refugee Complex, a trained freelancer under this one project of NRC. Now is a time for reflection. We have just watched a nice video presented to you by young refugees from the Dadaab, trained freelancers. I would like to lead or take you through the reflection, and we will highlight issues across all sectors of youth. But before we go far, I would like to ask the participants in this conference about the video. Has it captured the key areas about youth programming? This could be a question I wanted to pose and see how the person in this forum can react to that or respond. Anyone with an idea?
So Ziad has asked all of us a question, and I'd invite you to use the chat if you're joining. Has the video captured the key areas with programming regarding to youth? That's a really big question. So I'm encouraging you to either write in the chat, or if you're joining us online, I'll give you like a minute to raise your hand so you could reflect briefly on that before Ziad continues.
Or you can still ask if there are any comments, suggestions, advices for those young men and women from the Dadaab who presented you this nice video.
So someone says yes. Anyone else with further thoughts? Okay, Ziad, you can proceed, and I'd invite them to write their responses in the chat as you continue with your programming, also because of time.
All right, thank you. Now you can proceed. And I also encourage the persons to respond, maybe for active participation. Here with me are points I have extracted from the Youth Consultative Forum report of 30th March this year, because this captures all areas in focus. However, due to time, I suggest that we transition the discussion by starting the conversation with the skills development programs. Here, you can focus on developing and supporting youth capacities, skills through education and financial inclusion by improving learning infrastructures so that as many youth as possible will have access to learning or training opportunities. For your information, in our setup here in the Dadaab Refugee Complex, we have TIFED training centers that offers digital skills and also TIFED trainings. There are also instant network or e-learning that gives better understanding for young refugee men and women on digital skills as well. Another point, increase and diversify scholarship opportunities and career coaching through mentorship and coaching, working with private institutions to provide trainings. And another point, we also have linkage to financial service providers for financial literacy and entrepreneurship training and initiations of saving and credit schemes among the youth through mentorship and study tours, market access for freelancers, of which NRC and ITC are as always, and they are therefore there to help freelancers to get into this opportunity. Providing cash grants for TFED youth groups is also a paramount. For sustainability purposes, youth also require entrepreneurship training to better understand the business environment. Another point that requires to be noted is supporting physical and emotional well-being of youth without leaving anyone behind. I mean, without leaving those with disabilities or those living with disabilities through dedicated protection case management and mental health activities. How do you do this? We can do this through FGDs, that's focus group discussions, conducting surveys and research of the issues or emerging issues that are affecting the youth in the camp, youth forums that can be either at camp level, regional or national level, livelihoods and IGS, such as one that can benefit the youth is installation of ice plants here in our environment, tailoring, tie and dye techniques, and also creative and art activities for the youth to showcase their talents in sports and other important fields. Here with me are some of the freelancers, and among them is Mohammed Umar, who is a key stakeholder when you're talking about the freelancers in the DAB. I would like to pose a question so that it gives us more understanding on how freelancers in the DAB are doing and what are some of the challenges. A freelancer and a starter, let me say a starter, somebody who joined in online job platforms. What are some of the challenges maybe that person will encounter, or what are some of the challenges that person will face here in the DAB? So we'll give that opportunity to Mohammed Hassan Omar to elaborate more so that everybody here will understand what are these freelancers doing, how are they benefiting from this project, and what are some of the challenges they are experiencing in the camp. Is it meeting the theme, the right to seek safety in all aspects of life, or there's something that to be done to better their life and their activities involved? Mohammed, please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Tony, for asking me this question.
Just before Mohammed proceeds, I'll ask you to keep your intervention short as well, because we are running behind time. So if you can keep your intervention short, that would really be appreciated. Over to you, Mohammed.
Okay, I will. Thank you. This is Mohammed Hassan, the CEO of the Collective. And when you're new to online freelancing, it's always difficult to get or to find a client. That's the main challenge. The other key challenge is online scammers. When you're new to the online freelancing world, mostly it happens to be affected by online scammers. The other challenges that exist in the DAP is, identity verification. That is the key main challenge. For instance, if you are new to Upwork will ask you, your passport or ID. So since you are a refugee, you do not have those things. So Upwork will suspend your account. So account suspension, finding a client is a challenge when you need to. Online scammers and good internet is another challenge. Time difference. So there are a lot of sort of challenges. but how can you overcome? The best way you can overcome nowadays is, we are in digital world where before, teachers taught you 25%, but nowadays, since we have internet, and you can teach yourself, like you can learn something from YouTube or Google, or you can ask our mentor. So in the DAB, what we do, we initiated a program called Mentor Me by the DAB Collective, so where we train and mentor some refugees at every 3 months. So, and a lot of people benefited, like guys like Eli, who benefited that program. So you can teach yourself and learn everything from YouTube if you have that passion to learn. So the three key that we learned from the online back in 2018. Patience matters a lot when it comes to online work. Communication is key and constant. So never give up.
Thank you very much for sharing this perspective, and for Siad for also bringing in another perspective from your location. Thank you for really highlighting some of the important aspects of opportunities such as e-learning, opportunities such as mentorship, financial literacy, which is really, really important aspect as well. And also for really just bringing Mohammed in to also share other dynamics when it comes to freelancing. So with that, thank you so much for the great presentation and for really taking us through that journey of understanding what does it mean to be a freelancer and what experience that you have had within your location. And with that, I would now like to turn over to another segment where we've had from the digital world, where we've spoken with freelancers and they've shared some really great perspectives of the work that they're doing. We've heard from Angelina reflecting back on athletes and sports and the importance, the challenges, as well as the opportunities. And now we just want to take another diversion and really spend some time looking at another success story and reference as well from the refugee UN volunteers, who will really just share their journey, as well as how have they progressed with this particular path. And as we bring on board two of these speakers, I'll really urge you to make your intervention a bit short, because we're running out of time, but we really want to spend the time to also hear from the audience and their reflection and any questions that they may have. So at this point, I'd like to first of all invite Zakaria Odawa to make your presentation, and then after Zakaria, we'll have John Mariak, who will then go next. Please make sure you keep your intervention brief and straight to the point as well. So Zakaria, over to you. We'd want to hear from you. Can you please share about your career and the path that you've taken as a refugee UNV? We're quite eager to hear from you. What is this and what has it meant for you? Zakaria, welcome.
Thank you, Fonny. Please, could you confirm if you can hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Let me turn on. Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm very grateful to join you this morning. My name is Zakaria Mohammed Odawa. I'm a refugee from Somalia who have lived in Kakuma since 2009. And this is why I consider as a place of hope and, a resilience. And with these few minutes, I would like to share with you what I consider to be the resilience journey of my life. And I give it the title as the resilience journey of my life because with all the challenges, we go through, we still have a way to go and build back our future. And for briefly, I understand that in this youth conference that you are bringing together a large number of youth to understand about, the challenges the refugee youth face in Kenya, and also, to hear from them, give them a platform to understand, listen to them, get their challenges heard, and also find better solutions and call to actions into these problems. And from a journey, actually, it is, a mixed stories of almost giving up, but again, never give up in board. I have been a student, an online student, and I understand also the challenges that the refugee youth have in accessing internet, technology, gadgets, devices, and, with all the possibilities that they need to continue with it. Now, I have completed my associate arts degree program from Southern New Hampshire University in USA, and I understand the challenge of accessing, online platform for 3 to 4 years online, and with the challenge, the limitations and the challenges we have around the refugee camps, all the way ranging from the internet connectivity, electricity, access to power, lack of computers, the available devices ready for you to study. I have also finished my diploma with Regis University in Denver, Colorado, in a diploma program, in community development and social work. It's still an online program with the same and many other challenges. I have gone through a lot of work experiences within the refugee camp. I worked with the Lutheran World Federation, LWF, as a primary school teacher, as also a caseworker in the peace building and conflict resolution department, a teacher in the Wundal International Kenya as a secondary school teacher. I also worked with the Jesuit World Learning, JWL, as a learning facilitator for the youth sports program. And finally, before joining UNHCR, I worked with Amala Education as a facilitator for the high school diploma program, of which I believe some of the students who are gaining from these programs are also joining us from the youth centers in Kakuma and the conference rooms within the UNHCR compound. With all this challenge, with all this kind of resilience journey I'm sharing here about, is that, with everything we go through, we don't have to give up. With all the challenges that we face and we go through on our daily lives, we need to find solutions for it. And with this is that I want to also, use the quote of Roy Bennett, who once said, instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can, create. I understand that we all have, a different story of displacement, of, scary stories of being a refugee, fleeing from home, leaving everything behind, leaving your family, your friends, our beautiful countries behind. But in the refugee camps, or becoming a refugee is where we need to start a new journey. If we give up, we are not bringing a solution to where we came from, where we are, and where we are going to. And with that is that we need to exercise the kind of resilience. We need to ensure that we don't give up. We look for opportunities. We knock doors. We try, fail, and finally try for the best. And with that is I want to also share with a bit reflection of my experience as the speaker for the Kakuma Youth Parliament for almost 4 years, and also my membership for the Global Shepherds Community, Kakuma Hub, as where I also brought some good initiatives. For example, in the post of the COVID-19 period is when I supported my colleagues in the Kakuma Hub to come up with a COVID-19 response mechanism that never existed within the camp from the refugee-led perspectives. We try to share the correct information with the community regarding the virus, how it spreads, and what are the ways that they need to control themselves, not to get a victim, or become affected by the virus. With all that, we also implemented the unconditional basic income, that is UBI, a program that's currently supporting 1,500 refugees, vulnerable refugees in Kakuma, to have access to $1 per day. I know it's less money, but when we combine all those together, it makes something meaningful for the community. I've applied, to work with UNHCR as a youth activities coordinator for Kakuma, UNHCR Kakuma. And I can tell you that I was in the application and the recruitment process for 11 months. And I can, if we are all to give up from the first month, second month, from the first interview, the second interview, I think we are not going anywhere. We need to remain consistent and persistent for whatever we want to do. And that is, what do you want to be, and that goal you have should enable us to go through all these challenges. That where you want to reach should be the focus, not the challenges we face, not the other ones we encounter. And it is either two options, that when you are within the refugee camps or when you are in such situations, there are only two options. The first option is that we either go hard for what we want or we give up. And when we give up, we are not making any meaning. We are not making any change. We are not making any impact for the society, for the community, for the countries we came from, those we stay, and the ones we look forward to live in the future. So with that is that I, encourage my fellow refugees that we need to go hard for everything we want. We understand the challenges, but come on, let's think out of the box. We find solutions. We find, critical ways, critical thinking capacity things that we can think about it. What solutions do we have? Who can support? Where can we try? How can we do it? And with that, we will prosper in life and do what we want to do in life. And with the positive coping mechanisms I have used, number one was, a set of priorities and plans. And that's the first coping mechanism that made me to stay here for almost 14 years with my studies, with my education, with my employment, with everything and the experience I'm sharing with you, that we need to set our plans and priorities together. Many youths in the refugee camps may not utilize the opportunities we are talking about, the scholarship opportunities we are talking about, the employment opportunities we are talking about, the entrepreneurship we are talking about. All those available. I know it's very scarce when we are talking about the number of youth who are to access these programs, but still a huge number of us don't have access to those, information, or they don't even utilize the information we are sharing here. The TEFED programs, the freelancing, the membership of becoming a community-based organization, going for studies, all those things, when we bring them together, it helps us to become the best ladder for us to continue with the journey we are sharing with here. And with that is that what can we do to get these opportunities, utilized? Is number one, that the youth who are now in the youth centers and the TV centers from Dadaab, Kakuma, Nairobi should be able to share this information with the other youth in the community. If you don't do this, then absolutely we have to take the responsibility of risking the future of the other youths. That we have these programs, we need to share with them. We need to share with them. We need to discuss with them that if we have a school dropout, if we have youth who may get involved in youth gangs and other activities, if we are getting youth who are not, working anywhere, I think we are the right people to stand for them. And that's what this youth conference has to come into conclusion with. That will everybody in this youth conference, especially the refugee youths, take the challenge to share this information with the people. And I can assure you that even those who don't have the required grades to join, and apply for a degree scholarship programs like DAFI, there is so many other things we can do together. You can start the best journey from a certificate program, go for a diploma program, then you go and proceed with your certificates, with your bachelor's degree programs. And with that, we are getting better experience compared to those who might have stayed into one program. Learning experience for you, sharing your experience with the other refugees, come together at the youth centers. I think some of the youth centers may not be used by the youth. And why? Because, we don't know the importance for the youth centers. It's to bring youth together, discuss the challenges, find solutions, come up with the initiatives. And I can tell you that the best solutions can be brought by the refugees themselves. If you are not there to stand for your own problems, I think external solutions cannot help anymore. This is the right time to engage with the refugee youth, to sit with them, discuss with them, look at their initiatives, and support them how they can implement those solutions to the community levels. And with my work here at UNHCR currently as a refugee UN volunteer in charge of youth activities coordinator for Kakuma and Kalabiai, with my colleague John, we are giving our full support to the youth programs. The Sports for Protection, the Youth Parliament programs, the Kakuma Got Talent, for youth to come together and expose their talents, to a better place, And this is actually, when we joined all these small dots together, we are making our future a better place. And with this, I will be ready to join also in the reflection part, answer questions, and also, maybe like, fine, I will stay in the call and be joining the conference. And with this, I just want to finish with one phrase, finally. Funny, as the moderator, I think my time is getting elapsed.
Yeah, your time is getting up, but I'll give you 30 seconds to finish up. Go ahead.
I will just conclude with one last paragraph, that the real success of this youth conference will not be measured by the number of youths who attended in this and the stakeholders present, but by the number of solutions and the call to actions that we are providing for the challenges which this youth in the conference will be addressing and sharing with us. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time, Fanny. We can move to the next speaker probably.
Thank you very much. You've highlighted many things that I will come back to shortly. But before I share my reflections as well, maybe I'll have John also come on board and share his experience. And John, if you could also keep your presentation and remarks to about 7 minutes, that would really be appreciated so we can manage time. Over to you, John.
Thank you, Fonny. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, I can hear you quite clearly. Go ahead.
Good. My name is John Mariak Panyuan. I'm a South Sudanese by nationality. I have been in the year for almost 25 years. I grew up in Kakuma. I came when I was young at age of 8. I came with nothings. Can't say I came with nothings, but I completed my education in the refugee camp. In the refugee camp, I graduated. I managed to graduate from Masinde Malira University of Science and Technology with Bachelor of Commerce, majorly in business administration, under DAFI scholarship. I have been having a lot of experience in the camp. I have worked with a number of LGO in Kakuma with different capacity. I have been a teacher with LWF Lutheras Federations, and I have also worked with them as a community worker. I have also worked with Windle International Kenyan as the secondary teacher, as well as a remedial girl teacher. I have also worked with IRC in different capacity. I have been a procurement clerk supporting the supply chains in IRC. I was also working with as a community health promoter as well. I have worked also as a patient attendant with IRC. Also, I have worked with Den Church 8, which is a DCA, as a financial inclusion officer, whereby I was facilitating and training the vulnerable refugee through business financial management, where I have managed to train 18 group both in Kakuma, and they are successfully running the businesses, and they are now extend the loans and credit to the community, which is one of the success that I have left there. I have also lectured at Kakuma campus, Masinde Maliro, diploma and certificate students. I'm currently working with UNHCR as youth activities, coordinating the youth activities, both in Kakuma, whereby I monitoring the youth activities and identify gaps and propose recommendations, as well conduct some FGD meeting with the youth to understand and the challenges that they are facing in the community. Indeed, my journey to the UNHCR at these current positions, it is a long way. It is through resilience and never give up strategy. It is really all the experience that I had in the camp, and also the never give up strategy, because my motto is to try any opportunity that come my way, because you never know the opportunity that you have tried will take you to where you want. I apply for these positions. I got the application through my friend at the university at that time. It was in 2019, around August. Then I was very impressed by the mandate of the UNB, said that promote peace and development across the globe. And that is one of my motto, because I like peace at most. So from there, I create my profile. It was not easy to create a profile. It took me because I was new to the system. So I create the profile and apply online. I waited for the call, and I was called for the interview. I did my first interview, second interview. It did take me up to almost 10 months to be called, and then I was called in April 2020 when there was COVID-19. It was a COVID-19 period. So what I did when I came to the office, I carried out awareness on COVID-19 on prevention measures, because most of the refugees were not aware of what is COVID, and people were having misperceptions on that COVID cannot be contracted in a hottest place like Kakuma. So I carried awareness sessions at Calabaye with support of youth leaders from LWF. And it was really a very successful, good to go. Then I also conducted mentorship sessions on early pregnancy and drug and substance abuse with Youth Parliament for 5 days at Youth Center 3, and it was really very successful because during COVID, there were most of the cases youth were very idling because of some restrictions. Youth were not engaged in activities because of the restriction from the government to cap the COVID-19. So there were a lot of cases of drug and substance abuse from the young youth, and early pregnancy cases were aroused. So from there, we carried out mentorship sessions on drug abuse and early pregnancy with support from the Youth Parliament. I had another one also, the Sport for Peace. I conduct a lot of FGD meetings to understand the general sport in Kakuma, what are the challenges, which it was really very successfully with the youth leaders, with LWF, and also with the coaches, the referees, then the community leaders, the local leaders. I did that, and on the Sport for Peace, it was really good, and there was most of the challenges because there were violence sometime in the sport. So I had to do FGD meetings on peaceful sport, on discipline in the sport, and then it was really very successfully, and it has yet very positively, which LWF have been very supportive and develop policy and standard that to governing the sport in Kakuma and Kalabay. And now it has been taken over by the coaches and the team management to be a routine things campaigning for the peaceful sport for youth. Because when we are peaceful, we are united, and all sport is the only hope and the only way that reconnect youth when they are in the refugee camp. And it has also, with a lot of the FGD meetings that I have done with them, it was really also help the referees and the coaches being trained by the GIZ to manage the teams, and also to officiate matches very well when matches are being played in the camp. And if I can tell you, it is really a successful story. From this year, we do not have any case of violence in the sport. It is a peaceful sport, which is in all over the Kakuma and Kalabay. And DRC was able to train the coaches, the referees through the gender-based violence mainstreaming, which it was also helpful to them. So what I would like to say is that youth are the future, and youth have to be protected from getting into the negative activities such as the drug abuse, early pregnancy, because when you get into these negative activities, definitely you will end up and you will not have a very bright and future. But if they are protected, they will be able to be empowered through education and other meaningful engagement like digital literacy, vocational training, because we have a lot of empowerment activities in Kakuma and Kalabay. So what it is good is never give up and try any opportunity that has come on your way, because you do not know that whether this opportunity can take you to wherever you want. When I had applied for this opportunity, I did not know that what will be at the back of it, because it was a volunteer. And when most of the people had named volunteer, so they ran away because there are some people who would not like to be a volunteers. And being a volunteer, it is one of the great things because it is part of you making difference in the community at your own will. And that is really something that is good. But if you can see right now, it has open ways. It has open ways, and for me, it is a good experience that I have seen, because through the network that I have got from the UNHCR, through the support, through the new skill that I have learned from my colleague at the UNHCR, they will be really very, very, very positive in future. So thank you so much. Back to you, Foni.
Thank you very much, Zachariah and John. I think some great pointers you've shared here, and it reminded me of my journey as well as a young person, and some of the things that you mentioned. Consistency and persistence is really important. Being patient in terms of when you're looking for these opportunities, sometimes they don't come at once. And one of the things Zachariah said, you either go hard or give up. Really strong. I think sometimes our realities means that things are not easy, but then at the same time, that doesn't mean we give up. We find solutions. Our experiences, our the displacement we've experienced, just as Zachariah said, we all have different experiences. We've all gone through very different journeys, but then at the end of the day, the resilience and what John has just said, the commitment to make a difference in your own community at your own will. I think that's a really, really powerful, strong statement that you've made. And I think one of the recommendations as well, or one of the key things Zachariah also mentioned, that the success of this youth conference will not be measured by the number of young people or the number of different stakeholders who really attended, but then really will be measured by the number of practical solutions that can be implemented that we have come up with. I think those are really, really strong things. We've also had that instead of worrying about what we can't control, sometimes it's important to shift our energy to what we can do. That's also a really, really important bit. And I think also John has mentioned that as young people, we will go through different journey, but one of the things that is really vital is for us to act as youth, as peace connectors. I think that's also an important aspect. We are all in displacement because of conflict, because of different reasons. But then if we're able to work together as young people and connect each other, that's also a really important aspect. I think it's really been great to hear all this and really took me down my own journey and reflecting on, it took me about 5 years. Yeah, it took me 5 years. It doesn't come once. It takes a long period of time. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of resilience to keep on waking up, committing yourself to what you want to do, to making sure that you're able to say today, I'm going to wake up and improve on myself, improve on my skills. If it's a language course I'm taking, how can I make the most of it? If it's a volunteering opportunity, will I do it? But then at the same time, that doesn't mean that it excludes you from the immediate needs. It just means you're trying to improve on yourself so that you can then get to the next step. So thank you, Zachariah and John, for really just bringing that perspective of how we can improve on ourselves to help ourselves and also to help our communities. And with that, I would like to turn to the next speaker who will be making a presentation from the young people in Nairobi, where they'll share some of the issues and experiences as agents of change. And I'd like to now welcome Simon, who's the director, Simon Rutarondwa, who's the director for the Community Support Initiatives for Refugees, to also make some reflections as well on what are the issues and what is your experience as an agent of change. So Simon, over to you. Welcome. And then also urge you to please make sure you stick to time. Yep, perfect.
Thank you so much, Fonny. Am I audible enough? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
First, my network is so poor, it's breaking. When it fails completely, I'm appearing here with Abi Kariuki and Aisha. They can pick up from there and continue, but I try as much as I can.
Okay, perfect. I just urge you to make sure, yes, yes, you have that minutes. So make sure you stick with that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Rutarondwa. I am a refugee and a community leader in Nairobi. But I also have lived in Kakuma, so Kakuma is not a new word or a new place to me. It's where my journey started from. I'm glad to be speaking to the youth on the Refugee Day, but more importantly, the day that carries, that has a deeper meaning, especially with its theme of safety. Because to me, that's where it all starts. If you don't have safety, you have nothing. Which safety, of course, means being protected from danger. And here you are in Kenya as a refugee. Hello.
Sorry to interrupt you, Simon. The IT team is asking, is it possible for you to turn on your video as well so that people can see it?
Very, very poor.
Okay, if your connection is poor, then that's fine. No worries. Please proceed. Sorry for interrupting.
It's okay. You freeing from your country. I'm a refugee. I'm from Uganda. And then you're freeing, of course, from danger, but you're completely unaware that where you are going, you're likely to face other dangers that you don't know, that you're not prepared to meet. The challenges that you cannot even understand. And before I start sharing my experiences, I want first of all appreciate and thank the initiatives the youth have been engaging in the digital skills initiative, especially in Kakuma and Dadaab. And I think after this meeting, I will share my contacts so that we can share these knowledge and skills on how we two can work together and see how we can bring such initiative for urban youth refugees. So I'll be sharing my experience as a refugee and also as a community leader. As you mentioned, I'm a director of a refugee-led organization, Community Support Initiative for Refugees, which works with urban refugees. We are based in Nairobi, in Choka, that is Embakasi East, along Kangudo Road on Mihango, around Kangudo Road on Mihango Road. That's where we are located. We also have a website, www.cosakenya.org. That is about COSA. COSA was founded in 2017 by a group of urban refugees. And the main objective then was, one, to find shelter, because all the founders of COSA were sleeping outside UNHCR. That was the goal. Said, why are we sleeping here? Why can't we come together and put our efforts together so that we can find a decent shelter? So COSA started as an emergency community shelter. And that was 2017. As we moved into 2018, 2020, because of COVID, a lot of things happened, changes in resettlement, and all the refugee services closed, RAS and UNHCR. And so we started now looking into programs that can create sustainable change within the community. And that's how we moved into livelihood programs and educational program, and then health programs. During COVID, which was of course a challenge to everybody that lives on this planet, we started a fashion and tailoring program. And since then we have been able to train 50 urban youth refugees who now have skills in tailoring and fashion design. We are able, together with help of UNHCR and other agencies like CAIAS and Refugee, distribute health kits to urban refugees, about 150 urban refugees, and supported others to access health services through our partners. We have 3 programs as COSA. And the main program is Livelihood. Livelihood, we train fashion and tailoring. We have a well-equipped tailoring center with about 5 tailoring machines and a trainer, but because of limited resources, we're not able to train to a type to give enough training that is sufficient at least to make someone get a certificate for about 3 months. We also have a health program where we partner with health services in Nairobi, health agencies that provide health services and offer referral services to urban refugees that need health services. We have educational programs. We refer and provide space for urban refugees, especially those who are engaged in formal education, with universities like Open Society University and Southern New Hampshire University. Those that do not have facilities like internet, computers, we allow them to come and use our center to attend their programs for free. I'm one of those refugees that graduated recently from Open Society University Network. And I realized that because in urban setting, refugees are less, there is limited engagement. There are no community centers where refugees can come together and access such services, which is different from the camp. Because as we enrolled in this program, most of these urban refugees dropped out because they were not able to access the service, because the program was offered online, and actually it's 80% of those who graduated were in camp. Most of those who enrolled from urban dropped out because they could not access the training service. The challenges we face as urban refugees and as a community-based organization, there is, we still face the challenge of barriers, those legal and administrative barriers, the process of getting registration for a refugee and getting legal documentation is still difficult. Personally, I lost my refugee 2 years ago, and replacement is still a challenge. And you find that, yes, whereas refugees are trying to engage into this initiative, they face challenges when they do not have documentation, for instance. You cannot open a bank account if you don't have an ID. And then you find that most of them don't have these documents, not because they have not actually reached the stage of getting them, but because the process is very long and difficult. There's a challenge of separation. We have many youth refugees who are separated from their families. You find, because most youth want to live in urban. Then you find the family lives in Kakuma or Dadaab, but the youth is in Nairobi. And because of that separation, they are not able to access services because they cannot be recognized as urban refugees. So it's a huge challenge. We have been, like I said, we started as a community shelter. Sometimes when the refugee is completely vulnerable and has nowhere to stay, sometimes we have a room where we house them. We are currently housing 2 refugees who are separated from their families. And it's because the family is living in camp and this refugee is in Nairobi. Mental health is a huge problem in the community, especially to the young, because they spend long time and because of limited civic engagement, unlike how I said, I share the experience of the camp and the urban. In camp, you have civic engagement activities like sport that bring the youth together to use their energy. Sports, athletics, all these are lacking in the urban setting because of the way of life. And because of this, so most youth spend that energy into substance and drug abuse, and this results into mental health cases. And at community level, we are not equipped well to handle these cases. So we have so many youth that had these challenges, and even when we refer to them, you find that they do not get enough or sufficient help. There is limited information gap. There's a new refugee law. If you go around asking many youth refugees in Nairobi, few of them know anything about this new law and how it can actually positively impact on their way of life. Many of them are still referring Department of Refugee Services as DRA, not even after transiting from DRA to us, some of them are still referring it as DRA. So there are very few who know where offices.
Simon?
Yes.
I think your connection is cutting a bit. Maybe can you try fix that a bit? Because on my end, it started to cut. So maybe
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Just proceed. Go ahead.
Was my point of information gap? That's where it started cutting?
Yes, yeah, please proceed.
Yes, I was saying that there is an information gap among the refugees in the urban, especially the youth. They lack knowledge of their rights as refugees And as a result, they lose out on the benefits that are out there in the community for refugees. For instance, very few refugees are aware of the new law that has been passed and how it can impact them. Very few of them know where the offices of the UNHCR, the new offices are. And so you find most of them keep coming to the community to ask community leaders for this information. And I think that it is the duty, responsibility of UNHCR to ensure that this information actually gets to the refugees. Moving forward, I think that as refugee-led organization and community-based organization in urban, we have a role and a huge role to play to ensure that the youth are engaged in these activities that can help them achieve self-reliance. If, for instance, the initiative we have just watched from Dadaab and Kakuma of digital skills, using digital skills, because I do not know much about it, but I do not think that I need a work permit, for instance, to work for Amazon. But this is what every person will tell you in Nairobi. I have worked as a security guard earning 3,000 Kenya shillings, working 12 hours at night, you know, and I was earning 3,000 because I could not take up or find a job that requires me to not be employed on a contract. But if we have these skills, like digital skills, initiative such as that in urban, there are many youth in urban centers who have gone through formal education, who are going through formal education, who can benefit from it. But because refugee-led organizations at a community level, like ours, are not, do lack the resources to implement such initiative. I therefore want to use this opportunity to call upon the UNHCR and other agencies to support, not only COSA, but other refugee community-based organizations in taking up such opportunities that are benefiting them. The remaining, I have 5 minutes remaining.
Well, if you can take 2 minutes, that would be good. Then I can
Can I
use the
invite
3 minutes.
my colleague, Abby? Abby is not a refugee, but works with the refugees.
Okay, if Abby is speaking, I'd urge Abby to make the intervention in about 2 minutes so that we can continue. Abby, welcome. Abby, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
If Abby is not, then Aisha can.
Sorry, Simon, I didn't get
Aisha
you.
can. If Abby is not able to connect, then Aisha can connect. Can take up the 2 minutes.
Okay, Aisha, please take the 2 minutes, and sorry if I have to interrupt you exactly at 2 minutes. Apologies for that, but please go ahead and take the 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be on this platform. Yeah, I'm called Aisha Nakakande. I'm a refugee from Uganda, and now in Nairobi. Though I have to be in Kakuma for a while. I came for trainings and joined COSA. Talking about freelancing, freelancing is, I think, the best way, mostly to connect the refugees, because in the circumstances we're in, all in the digital era we are in right now, freelancing has done the most part of youth to be like having some little income in their pockets without being in conflicts and whatever and everything that will comes with the refugee programs and skills, because digital marketing and freelancing is a little bit easier than going to a center, get training, like, okay, COSA is training fashion and design, but after training, you don't have anywhere to go and get a job for fashion and designing, and you can't even afford creating your own. But online, you can even do it mostly on your phone, and if you don't have a laptop, you can at least get a job and do it on your phone. So I think this program of freelancing should be even brought to urban refugees as it is in the camp. Though even in the camp, we need people to sensitize the refugees so that they can know what exactly is going on, because most people don't know what exactly is going on. If you talk about freelancing, people don't know what it means. Me, I have a little idea about it, and I'm a freelancer, I'm doing it, but people don't know about it. And if you tell them, they're like, those online bloggings and whatever, it doesn't work. But I think it should be better if UN can intervene and do the sensitization. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Simon and Aisha, for really also bringing and focusing it and sharing some of the challenges young people are experiencing within the urban areas. You've highlighted, we've brought the issue on work permit, you've brought the issue on ensuring that the community is also sensitized in terms of its freelancing and the different areas. You've also brought, Simon brought a really big issue on mental health. I think that's also a really, really great big issue that needs to be taken into account. This has really been, the first part of this conference has really been great, but right now I want to give us a 5 minutes break so that we can take our coffee or our tea or just dash to the bathrooms and then come back. But we should be back here by around 10:50, where we'll then proceed to the next program where we get to hear from the other presenters who've not been able to present. So and for the ones who still have questions, yes, I see all the comments and the questions in the chat. Let's keep them coming, and we're shortly getting to the session of question and answer directed to the DRS, directed to UNHCR, directed to even the young people who've been able to speak today. So with that, I'll ask all of us to take a quick 5 minutes break, and I shall see you all exactly at 10:50 to continue with the program. Thank you.
No, that one areas to focus. No, run and you are more focused than them. Oh, no. You see, we were digital platform and the activities we're doing. The others were doing something different. The others were doing something.
Well,
Yeah.
discuss was too big for me. Discuss was too big. No.
Was it too big?
It's like a big yeah, we'll have another time, but next time with the participant.
We're going to begin in about 1 minute. So I urge the young people in the same room, make sure your neighbor is back, and we'll be able to proceed in the next 1 minute. I see many comments in the chat as well. I see Petronila is saying that refugees who are using the trainings they get from the partner are better placed to change their lives and other communities if they can transfer these skills to them. Thank you very much. Mercy says a powerful quote from Zachariah on durable solutions will only come from the refugees themselves. Yes, I agree. That's a really powerful quote in itself. I see from Mohammed Abdi, he says that as a freelancer in a refugee camp, we're facing challenges to do with. We don't have laptops, we can't afford to buy them. There's no power throughout the refugee camps, depending on that can only run a few hours. We need softwares. He's outlined the softwares, MemoQ, SDL, Travis, new terminology for me, but thank you for also really sharing on that. There are also a couple of questions which we will get to shortly as well. And with that, I think we're in a good position to now proceed with the rest of the session. I believe everyone is back in the room. Perfect. I think everyone is back in the room. And to start us off, we have some 3 amazing videos from Kakuma. And they are great videos that the first video is on a youth group in Kakuma doing a tailoring business. Then we have a second video on a youth fashion designer business. And then we have a third video on youth engagement in football. So we will play these videos, and immediately after the videos, we'll get to hear some quick reflections from 3 presenters who will speak for about a minute each. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the IT team to give us these amazing videos that have been prepared by that are showcasing the different areas of the focus young people are doing in Kakuma. So to the IT team, please kindly play the last video, which is the youth group in the tailoring business. Thank you.
I'm sharing it. I'm sharing, just a minute.
No worries. As you're sharing that, I will share one experience. I remember immediately after I completed my high school, I was quite eager to figure out what can I do. And I remember this program that was being led by an organization called Livelihood. They had an apprenticeship program where you're attached to the work and you get the on-the-job learning or skills, and they were doing a lot of tailoring. So it was a really great experience for me to learn on the job. And I think apprenticeship is one of the biggest solutions that can also help in us gaining these experiences. Because we're sharing pathways, just felt I would want to share that experience with you all. I think the video is now ready to play. You'll hear the video and I will continue with that story later on. Thank you very much.
Najisikia poa kuona watu wakivaa manguo zangu cause naona wameshani promote na hivyo zinanionyesha kama mimi nishakuwa designer. So naweza hiyo kazi. I learned from my mom. Mamangu alikuwa anashona mavitambaa za crochet. Sasa nikajifunza kuanza kushona clothes. Vile nianza kushona clothes nikashona kofia. Nikaona yenyewe naweza shona nguo, nikashona manguo. My work is to design clothes, to design like kofia, manguo. Nguo moja inachukuanga time like kama ni shoti na shati yake inaweza chukua kitu kama 2 weeks. Na kama ni manguo kama za wasichana zile simple zinaweza chukua 1 week. Na hizo vitu zinachukua time kama mtu anataka kuichukua haraka na kama uko na haja na pesa. Mimi ni mwanafunzi pia na nikishona hizo vitu na kusoma pia inachukua time. Nikibalance time ya shule na time ya kushona inakuwa kidogo kama kuna exam. Lakini ningekuwa na machine ingekuwa rahisi sana. Mtu apate yake kwa haraka na ku make time.
Yeah. Refugee designers are working hard, facing and overcoming a lot of challenges day to day to make sure they dress up refugees with their own made fashions and also show the world the talent in the camp.
During Kakumago Talent, nilikuwa number 1 na kuna watu wengine designers wengine wenye walikuwa pia walikuja na manguo zao wakaperform. So yangu ilikuwa unique. Hakuna wenye walikuwa wameperform na hizo manguo. Zilikuwa tofauti sana. So nilikuwa better than them because yangu ilikuwa kushona na mkono, kununua uzi na kuzishona. Badao wengine walikuwa nakata vitenge na kushona na machine. So ndo maana zangu zilikuwa tofauti kwa hizo zingine. Kupata hizo uzi nazipatanga nikipewa pesa ya kwenda shule zenye zimebaki like balance naziweka alafu na buy uzi nazo. Na zingine like mtu akiona akipenda hizo mango zangu akisema nimuuzia na hizo pesa yenye ananipea naenda kuuza zingine. Hii kazi inanisaidia kwa kujitegemea mwenyewe bila kuuliza mwingine kama vitabu, kama sina kitabu, kama sina kalamu. Kwa vitu zingine kama mafuta ya kupaka sana sana siwezi uliza mali. Na kama hakuna kitu ya kuikula nyumbani na mambo yuko naweza enda nikanunua kama vile makaa, mafuta. Zingine like kama UN wajapokea maparts zinachelewa alafu naweza kubaia nazo bila kuuliza mwingine. Na market products zangu for to take pics, photo
photoshoots, naendanga kwa masherehe kama tumevalia hizo manguo watu wasione, na kama kuna mashow tunaendanga pia na masisters. In 5 years to come, ningependa kusaidia wasichana wengine like kutengeneza hizo vitu, kuwafunza, na pia manguo zangu zikuwe international kwa nchi zingine, even out of Africans, watu wavae. So mimi ningependa like kama msichana, like kama uko na talent, uendelee kuifanya na ujue that mbele yako kuna kitu, yani like unaweza kuwa mtu mwingine kesho. So tusianze kutegemea wengine, like kama uko na talent fulani nyumbani, ukae nayo. Like kama uko na challenge, useme nime give up, uendelee tu kufanya hata kama kuna challenge zenye unazipata.
Thank you very much for that great video. I think we've all had on some of the key messaging that comes from this. As for us as young women, you do have a talent, work on it so that you can provide for yourself, and it can also allow you not to rely on others. I think the other thing that we've also seen in the video is that when you're able to do something, it gives you back the dignity to really buy the essential things for yourself, but also for your family. So thank you very much for that great video. And one thing I encourage us, please, let's support our own. If you're able to purchase, please go and purchase. If there's a Facebook or an Instagram page as well, I'll ask for this to be shared so that we can share it with other people who would also be able to see the clothes and also order. I think it's always good to support our own. And now turn to the second video. We've seen the tailoring, we've seen the fashion designer. So we have the tailoring business as the second video. Over to the IT team to play the second video.
Just a minute.
My name is I'm a fashion designer. I live in Electrical, and then I'm always doing very design. So when I saw coronavirus news, I decided to do masks and contribute for refugees like me, and even first community who cannot afford to buy the mask, the face mask, so that we can stop together spreading of coronavirus. Before coronavirus, I'm normally doing fashion. So I was doing my normal job as I used to do. I'm doing menswear and women's wear. So I do both. As a young designer in the refugee camp, we face a lot of problems. And I think if you can get a good place to show people what we have and how talented we are, we can show all the world that refugees could have a talent, and then we can also do what other people do. My advice to other young designers in refugee or outside the refugee is that you can also help your community using your talent and then do things which can help you in the future. We set for those who can afford to buy, and then you get the money for buying material so that you can supply for those who cannot afford to buy. Actually, we just talked with the community leader, and then we asked him or her to find someone who maybe the poor, the old woman, the old man who cannot afford to buy, and then also distribute 1,000 masks. And then after that, we're also working for others to sell it, because my shop now is empty because I have already distributed. So, like, I used to tell you that a piece on each one.
I've come to this shop looking for this mask that are helping, that have been taught by the Ministry of Health. We learned that the face masks are helping curb the spread of coronavirus. Now, as residents of Kakuma, we are looking for the masks where we reside so that we can get at least each of my members where I live, at least I help them get one. They are doing a good job producing this to help each and every member of the community curb the spread. I thank them for taking this initiative to produce this mask. It is a good thing, and that's why we are here to support them where we can. As they produce them, we buy, we give them to others.
Thank you as well for this video. I think like when we were beginning, one of the things that I mentioned was that during the onset of COVID, young refugees had to find creative ways to respond to their community's need. And we can just see through the work that Samir is doing, he's a fashion designer, but at the same time, still being able to create or distribute the masks within the community just to ensure that the community is protected. I think that that shows the resilience, the resolve, the commitment, and the empowerment. If you have the skills, then you're able to take back, use the skills to really also assist your community. So thank you very much for playing that video and also sharing how young people are using the different skills and expertise to support not only themselves, but then their community as well. The last video we have is on youth engagement in football. I think that's also going to be an interesting video, and I invite you all to watch it with us.
The third one is not a video, I think. Ina.
It's not a video? Perfect. If the third one is not a video, maybe I will invite Ina to speak on the youth engagement in football.
It's a speech.
Perfect. Over to you, Ina.
Come on. Now,
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and make your intervention on the youth engagement in football. We're quite eager to learn from you and just hear from your perspective how this is really important and a pathway as well for youth engagement. Over to you. Hello. Maybe as we cannot hear you clearly. So what we're going to do before, as you sort out your connectivity, we'll just speak to two young people. We're just going to make a quick intervention, then come back for the presentation on the youth engagement in football. So Samir, I'd like to invite you to just reflect, what is the key message, or in a minute or so, we've seen the videos on tailoring business, on the fashion design. So I'd welcome you to just make a quick, in a minute, quick sort of like intervention on the key messages you have, as well as any other thing you'd like to share with the rest of the young people on the call today. Samir, over to you. Samir, are you on the call? Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed. If you could make your intervention in a minute or less, that would be good. Please go ahead. We're having some slight challenge hearing you. Maybe try speak directly into the mic and maybe we could hear you a bit clearer. Samir, we're experiencing some challenge. We can't hear you clearly. Maybe let's try sort out your audio and we can turn to Rebecca to speak first and then I can come back to you. So we have Rebecca Nyama who can go first, and let's see if her connection is better, then we'll come back to you, Samir. Rebecca, over to you. Apologies, everyone. Technology is not a new thing. We're getting used to this. Would have been great if we were all in person, but we'll make use of this space that we have, regardless of the challenges that we encounter. Rebecca, do you want to go ahead and try and see if it's a bit clearer now?
Okay, my name is I think
we can hear you, but it keeps on cutting. So we're just hearing you speak, then there's a cut, then speak, then a cut again. So maybe what I will recommend we do, if also Michael is in the same room, I don't know if we can try and then see how we can work around it. But try speak directly into the mic and we'll see if it works. If not, maybe just plug in directly with an earphone. That might also be a good solution. So let's try again. No worries. Apologies, Rebecca. We're still not able to hear you all. So maybe what we will do, if Michael is not in the same room, maybe we can shift to Michael and we can hear Michael, and then maybe you can, the technical team can support you in sorting that out, and we will come back to you at some point to make the intervention, because it's even very hard for the interpreter to hear what you're saying. So Michael, if you're not in the same room, I'd invite you to make your intervention on youth engagement in football. If not, if you're not in the same room, we will move on to the next segment and then come back to you after you've sorted out the mic and the connection issues. Is that fine? Yes. Perfect. Michael, are you in the same room or in a different room?
Pony, we are all in the same room.
Okay.
So if you would allow, our tech team is doing that in a minute, and then you'll speak again.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. We will come back to you all. I know you have some really great interviews lined up, and we're eager to also hear from you. But with that, I'd like to just move on to the next speaker, who is Moses Mateni, the Deputy Youth Officer with Youth Safeguarding and Protocol with LWF, who will just share his reflections as well on the videos that we have watched. I know we've not heard from Michael, but I'm sure from the work that you're doing, there's also interactions you've had with the community on engagement in football. So I invite you to make your intervention, and then we'll go back to hear from the young people. Moses, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Moses Matei. I'm a deputy youth officer working at LWF. In charge of safeguarding and protection. I'm joining you from Youth Center 2. It's one of the youth centers supported by LWF. And as you can see, I'm joined by you from this particular region. Now, for me, although we not see the 3 videos from Kakuma, but my take or my input on this is kind of a question. What I want to ask all is, are there opportunities that are existing in the youth and the camp for youth? We've seen a number of videos all the way from Baghdad to Nairobi and now to Kakuma, and all the videos are showing innovative approaches that our youth are using in the community to try and better their lives and lives of the community. So the issue for me and maybe for the youth is the accessibility and knowledge or awareness of these such platforms where the youth are able to engage themselves and be able to market their talents and other potential that can make it be able to do what to better their lives. Now, as for LWF, what we have been able to do, and I can see with the videos that have been coming up from Rebecca, Michael, and Samir, is that we are trying to create safe spaces for youth to be able to interact safely in the community, and also ensuring the structures that exist in the community supporting the youth programs are actually given enough capacity. And here, when I talk of structures, I'm talking of both advocacy structures and other social structures in the community. Earlier on, we saw a video from Zachary, who has been one of the youth parliamentarians, who was the speaker. And during his tenure, we saw one of the advocacy forums, the Kakuma Youth Parliament, coming into the limelight and supporting in making sure that there's enough awareness for the youth from the community able to participate actively and engage themselves in community matters. Now, when you look at some of the activities that we are doing, some of the interventions that we are using, including sports and talent development, we have sports for youth under the age of 17 and 14, which brings together youth from different communities just to be able to share a platform to interact and have a fun-based game where they share so many things in the culture and the different videos that are here. Then we also have the talent development. Here, I can point out specifically the Kakuma for talent, whereby persons like Rebecca were able to come to the light. It's a platform whereby most of the youth around here in Kakuma are able to engage in talent showcasing, including music, arts, and so many others. Then there's an aspect of capacity building, and John alluded to this, that the issues of mentorship and youth are coming in the camp from different regions, different countries, and by doing mentorship together, just to be at the same path with each other in the community, and also the host community, considering that we're working with the Turkana community. The innovative approaches that we are embracing at LWF, where we are supporting youth by offering small grants for the youth to have both talents and activities that can support the youth in the community is another approach that needs to be factored in by other partners so that we are able to reach out to more youth in the community. The ICT skills, we bring some literacy skills in the community also. And here in Hong Kong, I'm proud to say that even the setup that has been done here has been done by one of the youth, the ICT coaches that we work with. And they are also engaging a number of other youth in the community just to ensure that they get some information or some skills on ICT so that they're able to combat the current world. As you know, we are moving into a technological world where ICT is a key component. Apart from those few activities, I want to put emphasis on other activities like life skills, which we have other targets like livelihood department, where most of the youth are able to get skills training to be able to undertake some various courses, including mechanical, we have bakery and other relevant skills that can give quick employment to youth in the current environment. Then we also ensure that the children, just before they come into youth or adulthood, they are able to be safeguarded. And here we give to ensure that there are safeguarding measures that are put in place for these children. So by doing all this, we are able to ensure that that person that we call a youth from this particular region in Kakuma grows up as a comprehensive person. So maybe we can go back to UNHCR and see the 3 videos from Samir, Rebecca, and Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Moses, for the reflections you've shared, as well as the work you're doing. I think that's really important to have that, the commitment that you and the work that LWF is doing with young people. I think one thing you've also mentioned is in regards to the current world. The current world requires a lot of ICT use, and just having those skills are really vital for all of us to be able to move with the fast evolving technology. But then at the same time, life skills are also quite important in ensuring that we have diverse experiences to really experience things and work on different things as well. So thank you for reflecting on these videos and also sharing the practical work that you've been doing. I'm going to go back to our incredible young people, and maybe I'll start with you, Rebecca. I see you on the screen. Hopefully your connection is good, and really, I think everyone is eager to just hear from you. So over to you, Rebecca. Could you kindly share us in a minute or so, share your reflections on the work that you're doing and also the importance of it, Rebecca? Over to you. If you're speaking, you're on mute. You might need to unmute, then go ahead and share your intervention.
Okay, thank you again for giving me this opportunity. My name is Rebecca. I started my designs when I was young. I learned it through my mom when I was young. My mom used to make her designs, and then I learned it from her. That is where I become to design clothes. Yeah, that is where I become to design clothes and many things like gloves, clothes. So my plan is to move to the next level when I get support, any support, and then it will be okay when I get the support from UNHCR or LWF. So I always be happy when I'm doing my designs, and I feel proud when I see people wearing my designs. I am planning now when like 5 years to come or some years to come to be better designer in the world or in Africa too. Yeah.
Great. I think that's really great. One follow-up question I have for you. What message do you have for other young people?
Yeah, to support them and not to give up on your talent. To be like, even though you are in any, you are in any challenge you have, or even though you are in any challenge, you just focus on your designs or any talent that you have, not to give up.
Perfect. And what key message do you have for other young girls? Because they're looking up to you. You're doing amazing work. What key message do you have for other young women and girls in Nairobi, in Kakuma, as well as in Dadaab?
Okay. For me, like young girls, if you have any challenge and you have any talent or anything you have it, like you can focus without giving up, because sometimes you can be in challenge, but some days ahead of you, you don't know the plan of God. So you just focus.
Great. Thank you very much, Rebecca, for sharing on your reflections on the video and the work that you're doing, as well as sharing some key message with all the young people in this call. I'd like now to turn over to Samir as well to just share a quick reflection on what's your key message, and do you have any other thing you'd like to add in terms of the work regarding young people and any potential things you feel is important?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samir. I'm a fashion designer from Kakuma refugee camp. I've been fashion since I reached in Kakuma. Like I reached in Kakuma in 2013 and I started working in fashion. I learned a lot through Instagram, through online, YouTube, watching videos. I'm special in menswear and women's wear, so I do both. When Corona broke down in 2019, I decided to train young man, young boys, young girls in community so that we can help each other to make the better life for others. And we make so many masks and distribute them for free for those who cannot afford to buy the mask, and help vulnerable people in the community. Yeah, I use fashion as a tool to bring people together. And I also have, because in Kakuma I meet a lot of people and a lot of people from different nationalities. So I learn other people cultures. So I design using kitenge, a local material, or kanga, shuka, Masai shuka. So I love fashion because fashion is my passion and it's my dream also. I would like to be the best designer all over the world from refugee camp. So that's why I never give up working on my dream. I work day and day. So when I reached here in Kakuma, I decided to go back to school. So I started from primary and I finished Form 4. After Form 4, so I started there making my own design and try to reach other opportunity. When I had anything about competition, wherever, I just go and attend. First of all, I was a modeler, and from there I started doing fashion. So in 2019, I became a best designer of Kakuma Got Talent season 6. And then 2018, I went for Nairobi Design Week to present refugee designs.
And maybe in just 30 seconds, because I know we're also running out of time, Samir, thank you for sharing your experience and your passion and the drive. With the work that you're doing, what would you say is the key message? Because we want to come up with solutions out of this call. What is the key message that you'd want to share with the young people on the call today, as well as the other stakeholders we have on the call? In less than a minute, what would be that key thing that you think as young people we need to have, and also as the other partner organizations, UNHCR and the government, what is that one key thing that you'd like them to take away from this event today?
Okay, I think being a refugee, it's like only a status. No matter where you are, no matter where you're from, just take on your dreams and work on it. So yeah, just working on your dreams and stick on your goals, focus, see the future, because the only thing we need to see the future, see what is next. So whatever you do, first of all, you just love what you're doing, and then stick on your dreams and work on it. We make it one day.
Great. Thank you so much for the great work. I think you've mentioned in the video as well as with the intervention that you learned the skill. That's a form of education, formal or informal education. And then you went back to the community and you trained other young people. And I think that's an important aspect of, I have the skills, I pass on the skills so that other young people can also help each other. And I think the thing that you also said is that you're using fashion to bring people together, which is really important. And then the other thing that you mentioned, which I also found quite positive, was that we create this amazing brand. And for you and Rebecca, I think you will definitely, I'm really looking forward to seeing the trajectory and the pathway that is ahead of you. But other than that, thank you so much for your intervention and for sharing with all of us in the work that you're doing. I'd like now to turn to Michael Young, who will make a presentation on youth engagement in football. Michael, in interest of time, I'll also ask that you make your intervention a bit short so that we're able to catch up with the rest of the program and we end the session in a good time. Michael, over to you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Michael Young, well known as Asagawa. I'd like to take you through the football activities or football program run by LWF. We have different leagues, different tournaments based on the age group. We have the under 14, we have the under 17, and we have the open age, and we have the Kakuma Premier League, and we also have the Kakuma United. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you quite okay.
I'm audible?
I think you're audible.
I'm audible?
You're very audible. The camera has moved slightly. It's not focusing on your face. If they could lift it up slightly, turn it up so that we can see your face as well, that would be good. Yes, now we can see you. Please proceed and let us know about sports.
Thank you so much once more for giving me this pleasure. I'm Michael Nyang, well known as Agawa. I've been here in Kakuma playing football for decades. Here we have different age category based on their tournaments run by LWF. We have the under 14, those are for kids on different zones and different regions within Kakuma. We also have the under 17, and we also have the Kakuma Premier League, that is open age for those who are 23 and above. And we have the Kakuma United. From the Kakuma Premier League, it has 16 teams within the Kakuma region that usually take time. They usually take place between the mid of the week and weekend. This team consists of different nationalities, including the host, based on your talents, based on your endurance, and then the team will pick you. From there, LWF didn't sleep. It formed a team called Kakuma United that traveled from Kakuma and to different parts of Kenya. It play in Division 2 League. Yeah. From there, different talented were scouted. Right now, as we are talking, we have different refugees who are playing in Kenya Premier League, representing us there. Currently, we are having one of the player who is the defending champion of Tusker Premier League. Yeah, we are very proud when we see him there on top doing that. We have others who was a runner-up. I can't mention all their name, but I'll just say the success that they have made. Not even those few. We are even having one who is international in that you are going to see and watch him playing in the World Cup. That is Awer Mabil. He's going to represent us in the World Cup, playing for Australia, and he's a refugee. There are also those who are also representing us in their national teams from Kakuma. Look at all those talented that are being exported and being nurtured in Kakuma by LWF. We are proudly hearing and we are proudly happy with LWF when he's supporting the youth activity, including the kid. Some are even learned in the down country just because of sports. They have been scouted and then you go and learn there through sports. And you go to these different national schools, the secondary schools and the primary school, just because of a talent. Yeah. So UNHCR is really playing a very big part and a very big role in engaging and empowering youth through the sport. So UN is really playing a very big role here in Kakuma and all over the world.
In 30 seconds, because we need to move on to the next program, what would you say is sports important? I think you've highlighted the different aspects of it, but why is it important and what's the key message for today for all the different young people on this call, as well as the other stakeholders on the call?
Okay, the only message that I'll pass to my fellows who are outside there: football, don't sleep on your talent. Come out, showcase, and the right person will pick you from there and show the world and exposure you. And from there, your living standard or your lifestyle will change. As you can see me here, it's not only education. I graduated in 2017 from Bachelor of Science and Information, but talent is also important. That is a God gift. You cannot sleep on it. Once you get an opportunity, try to go out to the world. The right person will come and pick you and will expose you. So I'm telling my talented youth, don't sleep on your talent. Come out. As long as God is there, also a human like you who is having power can also help you to be seen and bring change into your life. As we are talking now, we are having a people who are really living out of Kakuma. They go and play soccer. They are being taken care by LWF, that is Kakuma United. When you're being scouted, you just sign some contracts and agreement and you go and your talent continue. The happiness will come to us, those who you have left. So please don't sleep on your talent. Get exposed. Do what you do is right for you. Never give up. Yeah, that's what I can tell them.
Thank you very, very much, Michael. I think you shared some really great insights on the importance of sports or football or whatever activity, but also really mentioning that we should never give up. We should always place ourselves at the forefront, showcasing the different skills we have. The right opportunity will come up. And I think one other thing that you mentioned, which was also I resonate with, is that a success for one of us is a celebration for the whole community, because that means things are changing. So thank you very much for your intervention and for highlighting all this great work that you are doing, as well as the other young people. And it was very interesting for me to also learn more about football in Kakuma and the progress that has been made and the support that you're also receiving through UNHCR and LWF. So thank you for that. And with that, we're going to move on to the next segment of this session. We have quite a lot of questions in the chat, but we will get to that. We will try and respond to all these different questions when the time comes. But also, I think it's really important that we've heard from most of the young people, and also in the chat, we can see questions to do with livelihoods, questions to do with what next, you know. And at this juncture, I'd like to welcome Mr. Metro Kundolo, who's an assistant livelihood and economic officer at UNHCR, who will really be reflecting on the livelihood strategy, the impacts of livelihoods on how, especially like we have a new Refugee Act in Kenya. How does this new Refugee Act 2021 affect us as young people? I'll pass this at this juncture. I'd like to pass the mic to Mr. Meshach Mondolo, who will make a reflection building off on all the presentation as well that have been made by the young people. Mr. Meshach, you're welcome.
Thank you, Foni, for that excellent moderation, and good morning to all the participants. Before we start presentation, I would like to showcase a small clip that would give us a perspective on UNHCR's livelihoods and economic inclusion approach from a global perspective. Lawrence, could please play the video?
Okay, just a minute.
While international law recognizes refugee rights related to economic inclusion, those rights often remain unfulfilled. 70% of refugees live in countries with limited access to markets and social protection. Many refugees work in informal jobs, making them particularly vulnerable to shocks. When refugees obtain decent work and can provide for their families, they live more dignified lives with enhanced protection and better prospects for durable solutions. Economic inclusion, access to employment and entrepreneurship enable refugees to contribute to their host economies as consumers, taxpayers, and employers. Through the Global Compact on Refugees, 193 countries committed to improving refugees' self-reliance and easing pressure on host countries. To learn from the strategy on livelihoods and economic inclusion, UNHCR gathered input through a global survey and commissioned Tango International to undertake numerous evaluations. The findings show that improving refugee self-reliance depends on creating an enabling environment by applying a market systems approach where interventions are tailored to socio-economic and political contexts, building on refugees' skills and capacities. UNHCR and partners should actively pursue policy changes with governments and mobilize support, including with development actors, the private sector, and civil society. Based on the evaluation's findings, a context typology tool was developed to help UNHCR operations determine what intervention strategy is suitable based on the prevailing political and economic context, ranging from the least favorable to the best enabling environment. Political context refers to policies, practices, and services related to refugees, such as rights to work, freedom of movement, access to education, while economic context refers to availability of jobs, market conditions, and poverty levels. UNHCR's role in improving self-reliance, protection, and providing humanitarian assistance depends on where the country falls on the typology tool. In line with the GCR, UNHCR strives to be a proactive advocate, mobilizer, capacity builder, and coordinator together with the government where possible, and an implementer where the organization has a comparative advantage and resources to effectively fill a gap. Advocacy is about improving the policy environment to support refugees and their well-being in order to achieve durable solutions. How this is done depends on needs and existing rights. In Turkey, more refugees receive work permits as a result of advocacy with the public and private sector actors. UNHCR may be directly involved in implementation in certain contexts, including where joint programming or innovative projects are designed with governments or other partners with the objective of creating impact, building capacity, and ensuring sustainability and scale. Ecuador is an example of this, where UNHCR and its partners conducted poverty alleviation programs for the poorest refugees. After initial pilots of the graduation approach, the government gradually took over many components of the program with support from UNHCR. Yet, in contexts where opportunities to include refugees into existing systems are limited or do not exist, UNHCR may fill gaps in mobilization, implementation, and partnerships, creating incentives for others to join, and act as a bridge in the humanitarian development nexus. This is happening in South Sudan, where, together with partners, we are supporting tens of thousands of refugees towards enhanced food security and nutrition, with multi-sectoral activities linked to agricultural programs in the absence of relevant actors. In order to achieve refugee self-reliance, a whole Compact on Refugees. UNHCR is in a unique position to promote this agenda, mobilize others through enhanced advocacy, coordination, and strong partnerships.
Thank you for facilitating the video. Yeah, Lawrence, I think we can go to the PowerPoint presentation that I would like to talk about. Yeah. So UNHCR has a key strategic focus on the implementation of livelihoods and economic inclusion initiatives. And borrowing from that previous video, which has showcased our global approach, we also have a contextualized approach to livelihoods and economic inclusion interventions within Kenya. And I would like to talk about our programming strategy that has been formulated from the year 2022 in a multi-year strategy approach till 2026. So just a brief background on Kenya as a country. We currently host over, of course, 500,000 refugees and asylum seekers. And we are in a contextual legal landscape whereby we have an existing sort of encampment policy whereby refugees and asylum seekers are supposed to live within this designated places in Kakuma and Dadaab and Kalobey. Our livelihoods interventions target, all refugees, asylum seekers, and host community, and this include women and youth as special interest groups, as also highlighted also within the Constitution of Kenya, and through also UNHCR's age, gender, and diversity approach. The legal framework in Kenya actually supports and allows refugees to work and contribute to the economy in various sectors. The new Refugee Act 2021 actually is very progressive and expands and actually highlights on this aspect of refugee being able to be engaged in gainful employment and be able to also be included in economic plans that are within, at national level and also at county level. A large proportion of refugees and asylum seekers work within the informal economy, which is a similar situation to actually most Kenyans. And the informal sector is actually the biggest creator of jobs and contributes to around GDP of 33.8% from some of the latest Kenya National Bureau of Statistics highlights. And it also contributes, creates around 8 out of 10 jobs that are being created within the economy. So refugees rightly also fall within this specific sector and are contributing to the national next slide, Lawrence.
That one?
No, the next one.
Okay. This one?
No, not the next one after that, after the one showing.
This one?
It hasn't moved yet.
Okay. Let me try sharing again. Just a minute.
Okay. Yeah, we just continue speaking. Yeah, so the youth, so UNHCR, we target in our programming the age groups between 18 to 59, and the youth population is, the bulk of this target group. And in terms of definition, I think the youth is the age group between 18 to 34. Looking at all the aspects of programming, especially in skills development, the youth largely fall within the interventions that are being developed and implemented. And from a national perspective, we have a huge youth population deficit that in essence is an asset and should be tapped into to actually prepare them to participate in the economic development of the country as a whole, and also so that they are able also to sustain themselves and become self-reliant. Sorry, Lawrence. I think we need to go to slide 3.
Okay. Three. There.
You are on slide 6.
No, it's showing me a 3.
Okay. Well, I can just jump in and as you sort out that, I'll just move on so that we are able to keep with time. In a strategic approach, we are guided by several policy frameworks that allow us to contextualize our approach, and these guiding frameworks are the Sustainable Development Goals, the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework, the Global Compact on Refugees, the Kampala Declaration on Jobs, Livelihoods, and Self-Reliance for Refugees, Returnees, and Host Community, the United Nations Development Assistance Framework, which exists between 2018 to 2022, and we are now transitioning to the United Nations Development Cooperation Framework that will be picking now from 2022 to 2026. Also, the Kenya Big Four Agenda, which was the current government's development agenda. Kenya's Vision 2030, the Kalobie Integrated Socio-Economic Development Plan, and the Prospective Garissa Integrated Socio-Economic Development Plan, and also the Roadmap for Solutions, and now the current Marshall Plan that are guiding us on the directives that have been given by the government. Yeah. So in our programming, our geographical scope is Kakuma, Kalobeye, Dadaab, and urban areas like Nairobi and Mombasa and Nakuru. Our strategic priorities include, promoting an enabling environment, facilitating technical and entrepreneurial skills development, improving access to financial services, exploring new and innovative value chains, and improving livelihoods and livelihood data and analytical systems. In our priority on enabling environment, we conduct monitoring and analysis of legal and regulatory environments to support, enabling environment, and this includes, looking at the Refugee Act and its impact, access to work, permit, KRA pins, business permits, refugee IDs, access to financial services. We also map out relevant institutions for advocacy purposes. We also do joint advocacy with different partners, including ILO and IFC, on expanding the right to work and right at work. We also undertake, other bilateral advocacy initiatives with also government agencies and the private sector. And also we try to collaborate with the relevant actors to support, the VIP, the registration, the registration documents. Yeah. On our strategic priority on market-driven and technical and entrepreneurial skills development, we work with our implementing partners and other operational partners to provide vocational skills trainings to both refugees, asylum seekers, and host community businesses. We also provide business skills trainings and coaching in collaboration with other actors who are experts in these areas, and also facilitate digital skills training and also transition to work. And we, like in this specific area, I think we've learned a lot, from the presentations made by the DAP collectives and other online freelancers. We have a specific joint program that is running with ILO on the digital economy, and it looks at improving skills development for the youth and other, interest groups, and also looking at how we can support these individuals to be able to transition to the digital economy workspace. So I've taken note of some of those needs that have been highlighted, and which I think should be incorporated in this specific ongoing project. Also on our priority on improving access to financial services. This is one of the enabling environments, or rather aspects where if you are to be fully engaged within the economic space, then you also need to have access to this supplementary support areas like financial services. We facilitate the expansion of financial services to the various areas, like in Kakuma and Dadaab. We have like 2 actors there, KCB and Equity. We are trying to advocate with the microfinance institutions to be able to also set up their branches and offices in these refugee hosting areas, and also to extend their services to refugees and asylum seekers, to support them with things like microcredit and such like business development services. On our strategic priority on improving livelihood data and analytical frameworks, we carry a lot of socioeconomic surveys in collaboration with different actors like the World Bank, also the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and such kind of expert entities. We also integrate all this assessment and data into our mother database, that's Progress. We also develop an inventory of livelihood assessments, and support also in the dissemination and communications of some of these findings and assessments internally and externally. So that's it about our livelihood strategy and approach. And this is basically what informs how we do our livelihood programming in collaboration with the different stakeholders like the UN agencies, operational partners, community-based organizations, self-help groups, and the government. And I think I would, if there are any questions, I would be willing to answer. Over to you, Fonny.
Thank you very much, Meshach, for really taking us through the work that UNHCR is doing with the different partners, and also how this feeds into the bigger picture of livelihood opportunities for refugees. So thank you for breaking that down. In case you do have a question for Meshach, we'll take that as well. It's about, we're scheduled to end this session at 12, but it's already 12. So I'm begging or asking you all to give me 10 more minutes of your time, where we'll be able to finish the meeting. And apologies for that. I think with the different technical challenges here and there, we've lost a minute or two, but all in all, that is good. We've had so many presentations. We've seen so many things that the young people are doing, as well as the different organizations are doing. I would have loved to respond to ask all these incredible questions. I think there are more than 5 or 10 questions, but we won't be able to get to all of them. But there's many. The first questions that came in, I think they're also really vital to look at, and some of them are directed to DRS, and I think we have a couple directed to UNHCR, and then we have another one directed to the collective. I think the collective Tech Dadaab. So if I got the wrong name wrong, please apologies for that. So to get us started with the first question, which is, I'd kindly ask if you're not speaking to please mute yourself so that we're able to hear one another. So the first question directed to the DRS, the youth have highlighted a lot of challenges in regards to alien cards, as well the identification documents. How can the DRS help the young people to overcome this challenge of expired cards that take a very long time to be renewed when they expire? So as we're responding to this, I'd ask the different panelists to try and respond in a minute or so. I think Mr. Ower, if you're still with us, this is a question directed to you. How can the DRS help the young people to overcome the challenges of expired alien cards that take really a long time to be renewed when they expire? Over to you, Mr. Ower.
Thank you very much, Madam. And it is true, it has taken some time, and we normally receive a lot of applications for renewal. This came about mostly during the COVID period when services were affected and expired. People with refugees with expired alien cards could not get services at our offices, more so in Nairobi. But right now, if they have expired alien cards, please let them just go to their registration centers. Those in Nairobi, General Madenge is fully operational, and if you go there, your alien card will be renewed. I think it is similar also in the camps, though I don't want to speak for them, but I think everything is in order now, and all the applications when taken to National Registration Bureau, they are normally fast-tracked. So if you have an alien, an expired alien card, please go to our registration office. And if there is any further challenge, I think there are officers there who will try to help you. Our duty is to make you have all the necessary documents so that your movement and activities are not hampered by the same, by lack of the same, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ward, for your response to that question. There are more questions coming in, but I'm going to read some of the questions as well from people who are streaming from YouTube who joined us. And the question is directed to UNHCR, and I'll ask Mr. Jeffrey to respond to some of this question. Some of the questions are in relation to opportunities available. I'll just quickly just read out some of those questions. And one of the questions is, are there more opportunities for UNV, especially for refugees in Dadaab, since this is also needed for the young people in Dadaab? Then there's also another question where the young person is asking, we've learned so much about the different jobs and the missing opportunities, but then we also have missing jobs like data entry, which agencies and UNHCR normally give to host community and without even coming to the refugee community. What can UNHCR do to really change this and walk the talk of engaging with refugees? And then there's also another question where a young person from Dadaab says that the Dadaab youth are not given opportunities to participate at national and international forums. What can the UNHCR review their programming so that they're also able to include these young people who are within these locations, within Kakuma, Dadaab, as well as Nairobi? So I'd invite Mr. Jeff to respond to some of these questions.
Yeah, thanks, Foni. Yeah, just a few quick remarks on this. I know we're over time, so I'll try and be very quick. In terms of UNVs, this is a program that has refugee UNVs. This is something that has started in the past couple of years and something we're using as much as we can in Kenya. A lot of it depends on funding availability and things like that. So whenever there are positions, we do advertise them. But what I would suggest for colleagues in Dadaab and other locations, if you are interested in this opportunity, I would suggest you look at our website, which is where we would note any available positions. You can also, feel free to talk to UNHCR staff at our field posts in the camps to see if there might be any opportunities available. Because as I said, there are some, but the number is very limited. But we can see what we can do about trying to expand that. In terms of hiring refugees for data entry, I assume you're referring to the registration process. And unfortunately, that is something that we cannot engage refugees in as a matter of, it's part of our anti-fraud and integrity measures. So it's something that definitely has to be a national of Kenya or some other country. So unfortunately, that is one area because of the restrictions we have in place that we cannot hire refugees to do registration. We do have refugees who support the registration process, such as guiding people through the process at the registration facilities or acting as interpreters. But the actual data entry in our database cannot be done by refugees. Finally, I think there was a question on youth participation in international events, specifically coming from Dadaab. I do know that we do organize refugees or support refugees to participate in these events. I know because I see the documents all the time. I don't know if I can assume from your question that there's a consideration that possibly Dadaab is being left out, whereas Kakuma and other locations are getting more of these access. Again, this is something that I would suggest you reach out to UNHCR in the field locations. And basically, normally what happens is someone is given an offer for to take part in one of these events. We don't go out and look for people usually to do that, although sometimes if it's a UNHCR event, we might. But if it's something organized by another organization, normally they come to us requesting, the refugees come to us requesting support, for instance, in the issuance of a UN convention travel document that would facilitate their movement to that event. So, and that's something that we work together with the government of Kenya, who issues it through the Department of Immigration and in collaboration with DRS. So yes, if you are interested in these kind of things, do just speak to someone at one of our field posts in the camps. Thanks. I think I've answered all the questions. Yes, Bonnie?
Yes, you have answered all the questions. Thank you for that. I know there are more questions that are coming up, but then in interest of time and also with other schedules people have, I won't keep you all here. So what we will do, all these questions that are in the chat have been collected and we will try and respond to them and share the response with the young people who've been able to attend this particular meeting today. And with that, we're coming to the end of the meeting. But before I officially close this meeting, I'd like now to turn to Mr. Guy Avogon, who is with UNHCR Dadaab, who will be making the closing remarks and just wrapping up this great event that we've had today. So Mr. Guy, over to you for your closing remarks.
Hey, so good morning. I don't know what time it is now. So it's good afternoon now. Huh? So can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, we can hear you quite clearly.
Okay, so yes, I have this honor of making these closing remarks for the event of this day. I must say that I was very impressed by the various interventions of participants throughout this discussion. And this was a great initiative to give an opportunity to the youth of all the camps, including, I think, we have also been followed by people in Nairobi as well, right? Can you confirm this, Foni?
Yes, definitely. People in Nairobi as well.
So anyway, a lot of issues raised by the participants revolve around lack of opportunities, but also we heard positive messages from various interventions, people talking about, so some were talking about lack of opportunities, but others were talking about the various opportunities that they've taken advantage of as throughout their life as young refugees. We heard about, we listened to Angelina, who spoke about her opportunities, freelancing. People spoke about the scholarships they have been able to benefit from. Others spoke about access to mentorship that helped them a lot in coping with their rebuilding their lives with dignity. Others spoke about resilience, and I took a few quotes from here and there. Someone said, "Go hard for what you want and don't give up." You know, so the names, I didn't take note of the names, but those are very inspiring interventions that we heard. We've already heard about in a place like Dadaab, where there have been a lot of restrictions over the past 2 years or more on activities that have to do with livelihood opportunities. The Refugee Act has been a source of hope for many, because in an atmosphere of where everything is almost forbidden, Dadaab has suffered a lot, and we hope that the adoption of the Refugee Act, its implementation, and also what the government is now calling the Marshall Plan, which is meant to transition from a situation of refugee camps to a situation of settlement, will help integrate more the refugee population into the local realities by facilitating access to work permits, and we will, so that we can have the pleasure of seeing more entrepreneurs emerging from the refugee population here, especially from the youth, all of whom are watching us live here. Okay, some others spoke about some of the mental issues emanating from the condition that you live in here. But what I'm drawing from all these discussions are more of the positive messages. For instance, Samir said, stick to your dreams and work on them, and you might get there. Those are the very positive messages that I would like to highlight. And Michael said something about, don't sleep on your talent, take it out, okay? And never give up. Very, very, very inspiring quotes here that I find it important to highlight. And and these are messages that talk to many of us as well. As I'm talking about Dadaab and the limited opportunities or the missed opportunities or the restrictions. I can assure you that in spite of all these, on our side of the operation, people still have hope. People are not losing hope in spite of the apparent feeling of desperation. Many of our refugees or our youth here still are sticking to their dreams that the situation can get better and that they can contribute to the prosperity of this environment where we are if they are given opportunities. And I think it is on this note that I would like to thank the organizers for having given us this opportunity to share experience, especially I'm talking on behalf of the youth here. The role of UNHCR, of course, is in all these things is to facilitate, and we will continue to do that. And someone said in the presentation of Neshak as well, he insisted on the facilitation role of UNHCR, and then the onus which is on us to negotiate with the government and help improve access to financial services and other areas to help improve livelihood opportunities for all of you. So, and I wouldn't like to close without congratulating the facilitator, Foni. I think he's your Joyce, right? Foni Joyce, and then the other name is what? Buni. I find it important to congratulate you. You've done a tremendous job, and keep it up. And you are a very, you are like a very telling face of what a refugee can achieve. And congratulations to you. And then thank you all of you for your attention. And let's hope that we'll have more opportunities of this kind to extend. And let's see what the future holds for us. Let's hope that the Refugee Act and the roadmap and the Marshall Plan are going to be implemented. And then when we meet sometime next year, again for World Refugee Day, we'll be telling a different story. We'll be seeing probably more, we'll be kind of taking stock of the progress made after the implementation of the Refugee Act and also the Marshall Plan. So all the best and happy World Refugee Day to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guy. It's really been a pleasure to see all the young people here. I think as a young refugee, I'm very impressed by the commitment for young people to just show up and participate in such a discussion. And I think we've learned quite a lot, we've seen quite a lot, and we'll not dilute all the great messages that we've had. But one thing that I want us to take away is that real success will not be measured by the number, but really by the solution that is implemented after this conference. I think this was a really strong message from Zachariah. So from myself, thank you to the organizers, thank you to the young people on the call, thank you to the UNHCR, thank you to the government of Kenya, as well as thank you to the different people who wake up each day to really work with us on this journey. So apologies, we've taken 19 minutes slightly, but we're young, we're very energetic, and we can stick on. So from that, have a good rest of your day. I think the organizers will share with you the response to some of the questions that were pending, as well as the links to some of the videos, as well as the presentation that was made by Meshach, which was really informative as well. So do have yourself a good rest of your day, have a good lunch, and let's keep the fire burning. So thank you and bye. See you next time.
Group photo outside. Let's take a quick group photo.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yes, bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, they're going to be two photos. Tawani, you start to the very people. Oh,
The recording has stopped.